Becky, are we ready to begin?
Not quite. Give me just a couple of minutes.
I'm sorry, my volume's messed up. Say it again.
She's waiting. She's not ready yet, Mayor. Just give her a couple of minutes, please.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, we are ready to start, Mayor Serta.
Okay. Okay, so we're ready to begin tonight's Gardena City Council meeting for Tuesday, August 9th, 2022. Madam City Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mayor Serta.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis.
Here.
Councilmember Henderson.
Here.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Here.
Councilmember Love.
Here.
All members are present, Mayor Serta.
Okay, so tonight we need to go into closed session, hopefully for about 30 minutes, or at this point, 26 minutes, and come back at 7:30. But before we do that, do we have anybody from the public that wishes to speak on any closed session items?
I do not see any hands raised.
Okay, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and go into closed session and return and begin the meeting again at that time. Okay.
I should also state that we have not received any email for public comment as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, everybody can log Okay, are we all here ready to start?
We are ready to start, Mayor Serta.
Rodney, are you there? Rodney, Mark? Okay, there you go. Let me just make sure Councilmember Henderson is up on there just before we start this. Okay, there we go. All right. Everybody, let's make sure we silence our phones, me included. Okay, we are ready to begin tonight's Gardena City Council meeting, our regular meeting for Tuesday, August 9th. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Serta,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis,
Here.
Councilmember Henderson,
Here.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Here.
Councilmember Love.
Here.
All members of the council are present.
Okay, let me just read this quick disclaimer. In order to minimize the spread of the COVID-19 virus, Governor Newsom has signed AB 361. Please be advised that the council chambers are closed to the public and that some or all of the Gardena City Council members may be attending this meeting telephonically. If you would like to participate in the meeting, you can participate via the following options. The first way is to view the meeting live on Spectrum Channel 22 or online at youtube.com/City of Gardena. The second way to participate is prior to the meeting. You can email the Deputy City Clerk at publiccomments@cityofgardena.org by 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting and write public comments in the subject line. The third way to participate during the meeting is via the Zoom webinar. The link is https://us02wb.us/J/842260459191. The telephone number is area code 669-900-9128, and the meeting ID number is 842-2604-5191. Press 9 to raise your hand and the number 6 to unmute when prompted to. If you wish to speak live on a specific agenda item during the meeting, you may use the raise your hand feature during the item you wish to speak on. For non-agenda items, you will be allowed to speak during oral communications, and during a public hearing, you'll be allowed to speak when I open the public hearing. Members of the public wishing to address the City Council will be given 3 minutes to speak. So the Gardena City Council thanks you in advance for helping us do this meeting via Zoom, and thank you for your cooperation. So regarding closed session tonight, Madam City Attorney, do we have anything to report from closed session?
No, Madam Mayor, there was no reportable action taken tonight.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to our Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, we have the pledge that's being led by Linnea Anderson. And Deputy Clerk, do we have her on?
We are bringing her in.
After the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll have our invocation tonight by Councilmember Tanaka.
Invocation. Mayor Serta, I was just informed that our pledger was on, but for whatever reason, she's no longer there. Would you like to
let's go to invocation?
Okay.
We'll do that, and then as soon as it's over, then we'll see if she's made it in.
Yeah, we're trying to reach her mom. Right
okay, now. That's fine. Councilmember Tanaka?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just come to you tonight. We thank you for all your love and your blessings. Father, most of all, right now, tonight, we pray for those that we lost this week. We pray for our Monterey Police Department who lost an officer. We pray for LA County Fire that lost, I believe, an engineer. And Father, we pray for the family of those that were lost in the horrific crash a few days ago. And we pray for their families as they try to heal. Father, we continue to pray for the Ukraine and hope for peace there. Father, most of all, we just pray that that the madness and all the silly things that are going on right now will just come to an end and cease, and that we would see more peace, love, and kindness throughout the world. Father, we pray for our nation. We pray for our leadership. We pray for our president. We pray for those that are leading our nation. We pray that they will continue to move us forward in a great direction and continue to let us be the greatest country in this world. And Father, lastly, we pray for our own city council. We pray for our leadership, that we will continue to strive and make this the city that everybody wants to live in and work in and play in. And Father, we just ask you that you will continue to let us make great decisions through our hearts and our minds. And so, Father, with that, we thank you for your Son, and his sake we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Clerk, do we have her yet?
It looks as though they're having technical difficulties, so we may just have to.
Let's give her a couple of more minutes.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and we can come back to that. Let me go to our proclamation here, and let me read that. And then by that time, we'll go from there. And if not, then we'll nominate a council member to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, so the city of Gardena, we are proclaiming our 92nd anniversary, which is September 11th, 2022. The city of Gardena, California was incorporated on Thursday, September the 11th, 1930, combining the rural communities of Gardena, Moneta, and Strawberry Park into a municipal corporation. At that time, Gardena was a small farming community of about 20,000 people. 92 years later, with a population of over 61,000 residents, Gardena developed into a busy, desirable destination for new residents and a welcoming setting for visitors and corporate citizens. In sustained and fitting recognition of Gardena's 75th anniversary landmark theme, celebrating history, heritage, and opportunity, we have continued over the past 17 years to celebrate with great pride our cultural wealth and remarkable ethnic diversity through annual city and community events and activities. So at this time, I proclaim Sunday, September 11th, 2022, to be City of Gardena 92nd Anniversary Day, to bring appropriate recognition and awareness of our beautiful community's multifaceted history and rich heritage, and to look forward to opportunities to celebrate its progress and success far into our city's future. Okay. Any success yet?
No, actually, I got an email that they're not having any luck in logging in. So you're going to have to nominate someone else to lead us in the pledge.
Mayor Pro Tem is your first order of business, Madam Teacher. If you don't mind doing so, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and we'll follow along.
Need to get back and practice anyway.
Yeah.
Please place your right hand over your heart. And if you're ready, repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, both my colleagues, Mayor Pro Tem and Councilmember Tanaka, for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, as well as our invocation. Okay, so let's move on to appointments tonight. Does any member of the council have any appointments to be made?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to first start with my appointment to the Remediation Board, Ms. Joanne Brown. She is on the call. I am recommending Joanne for this position because of her knowledge in property ownership, tenant rights, all of the various boards that she sits on. I believe you guys all have her bio and application in your packet. And if there's any questions I can ask, or if she can ask, she's on the call.
Okay, we'll let her speak afterwards. Did you want to go ahead and do your second appointment? We'll take them both up at the same time.
The second appointment is Ms. Shari Farmer. Shari Farmer is a field deputy for LA County District Attorney's Office. She works for the victims of violent crimes. I am appointing her for senior services, and as if it's possible, I would also like to appoint her to the senior services and human services. her resources is ridiculous. She has a plethora of resources. She's been with the county in this position for over 20 years. She does resource fairs. She does presentations with the police department, and her job is to educate our residents and community and the county on services available for different situations that they may find themselves in, that the information is not always readily available, or they don't know that that information is there. Both of these appointments are on the call and are ready to take questions.
Okay, Councilmember, just for Brown Act clarifications, the only appointments that we could do tonight, I know you mentioned nominating Ms. Farmer to the Human Services and to the Senior Citizens. So tonight we can only do Senior Citizens.
Right.
You can bring back the Human Services appointment at the next agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are there any more appointments to be made tonight? No? If not, can I get a motion to approve both these people?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, a motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Francis and a second by Councilmember Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Francis,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Love,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
and Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay. So at this time, excuse me, Ms. Joanna Brown, if you're on the call, if you would like to say a few words, you're welcome to at this time. Deputy Clerk, is she on or no?
No, we do have Ms. Cherie Farmer on though.
Okay. So, but Ms. Brown's not.
No.
Okay. So, Ms. Farmer, at this time, hold on a second. It looks like we do have Ms.
Yeah.
Brown.
She just appeared.
Ms. Brown, if you'd like to say anything, now would be the opportunity, if you like.
I don't think she's on now. I saw her when we were talking about her, but now I see she's gone.
It's on our screen still. Let's give just a moment here.
This
is Joanne Brown.
Hi, Ms. Brown. Yes, we can hear you fine. Would you like to say something?
I would just like to thank you guys for the opportunity, and I look forward to serving on this committee. I believe in helping my community. I've been here for 50 years, and I'm just excited to join in and help.
Okay.
Serving is my thing.
Okay, well, very good. Well, thank you for taking on this commission here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Farmer, if you're on, if you'd like to say a few words.
Yes, like Joanne, I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity. Serving my community is extremely important to me. There are a lot of people that can benefit from the information that I can bring to the community. I have worked with a number of people within the Gardena City Hall, the Gardena Law Enforcement, the Gardena PD, and so I welcome any other opportunity to assist and make Gardena a better place. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me. Okay, thank you very much too for volunteering for this position as well. Okay, with that being said, where are we? Consent calendar. Let's move on to there. Let me start with Madam City, Deputy City Clerk. Sorry, I gotta get used to saying that. Do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak on any particular items?
I do not see any. Oh, actually, Lakeisha Burton is now on, but I can ask her. She's the mother of our pledger.
Okay.
So I can ask her if she would like to have her daughter lead us in the pledge at our September 13th meeting, if you'd like.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. That'd be fine. Okay. Where was I? Okay, nobody from the public. From the City Council, do we have any members wishing to discuss any items separately? Now, before we do this, I want to put this out here really quickly. Just for point of clarification, our consent calendar, because this here is an item, this section of things that we'll be voting on here, a lot of these are some of the same things repetitively that we vote on, or things that either we've already discussed previously, and this is just as a formality, taking up the second vote. I hope that if there are any questions that you guys have had, that you would have reached out to our city manager or staff, only because the purpose of this being on the consent calendar is to streamline it so that we can move through it quicker. Not to say you can't ask questions, but it's something that's very repetitive here. So with that, I'm opening it up, and hopefully it won't take an hour to go through like we did at the last meeting. Okay, so are there any items that any of you would like to discuss separately? Go, okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I do. And then just let me preface this before I say anything. The reason that, since you mentioned last meeting, the reason I called for those on the consent calendar was because it's my feeling that the public needs to be aware anytime that we're receiving money in terms of a grant or spending money buying buses. I think it's important that the community knows. And quite often, a lot of members, our constituents don't have access to the agenda right away or to the consent calendar. And so that's why I called information, because in all, it's just desire to have as much transparency as possible. So that's why I do it. Just as I'm getting ready to call 8D and 8E, it's about, I don't know if I should call it the existing local community, but I think we need to have some conversation about when we're going to go back to in-person meetings and whether it be just in-person or hybrid. I know Torrance is going back today, but their next meeting, but they're only going to be in person. They're not going to have anything on Zoom. So I think we need to have both. At least we should have some conversation, because folks have asked me about it. When we're going back in person, and I think rather than just kind of run it through as a ordinary routine, every now and again, we don't have to do it every council meeting, but every now and again, we ought to have this discussion, even for the sake of redundancy, but in the name of transparency and where we're going with this. That's why I do. So thank you so much. I appreciate your explanation of the purpose of the consent calendar, but I think there are some things they just need to be discussed out in the open, in the public. So thank you so much. I appreciate your comments.
Okay. Anybody else?
I do have two, and this is for my understanding as well as the public. I do agree with the council, Mayor Pro Tem, that some of these things the public needs to be aware of. 8G and 8H, I see that these are renewals, and if there's no real difference between the two, if someone can help me understand, is this, how long has the Elks Lodge been doing?
Hold on. These are the ones you want to ask. We're gonna.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No,
yes.
Okay, anything else? Anybody else?
8C. Oh, yeah, 8C. It's going to be a real quick question.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve items 8A, 8B, and 8F?
Mayor Serta?
No, it wasn't 8F.
No, that's not one that the question was asked on.
Oh,
right now, this is just the normal consent here. Mr. City Manager, go ahead.
Yeah, 1 second. I do want to bring your attention to, now I'm going to go over the COVID-19 report in a later time. But if this is something that you guys might want to consider talking about, which is 8E. I don't know if that was called.
It was. Mayor Pro Tem, I believe you said 8D as well, D as in David. Mm-hmm. I just want to make sure 8E is the one that pertains to us coming back in person. 8D does not pertain to us coming back in person. But okay. I just want to make sure, do you still want to pull 8D as in David off the consent calendar?
Does it have anything to do with the other? Because if we have,
they're completely independent of each other.
All right. Well, I'll take off 8D and we'll go with 8E. I just thought they were related because we have the reason that we're having meetings telephonically is because of the declaring of the local emergency. That's why I called it. But if they don't have anything to do with one or another, I'll go with 8E. That's fine.
You can. They are completely independent. And I will discuss it further when we get to 8E. So then the motion, Madam Mayor, is for you guys to vote to approve 8A, B, D, and F.
Correct.
Motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Well, second. Oh, go ahead, Mark Henderson.
Okay.
Councilman Henderson does.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Love and a second by Councilmember Henderson.
Councilmember Love,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis,
Yes.
and Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, so let's first start under the excluded consent calendar items. The first one being item number 8C. What's the question?
I know we have departmental items, and I'm not real sure how an item is selected to fall under the consent calendar since I'm new. But some of these things I would just like to understand why they're not discussed under departmental items versus like under human services, under human services rather than put into the consent calendar. For this particular position, we're hiring a new public works assistant director, which I think is great. But going back to what Mayor Pro Tem said, just helping the public understand some of these things. So if somebody can enlighten me on how do you guys determine what falls under the consent calendar and what doesn't, and what falls under the departmental items?
Councilmember Love, the city manager has the full discretion of what goes into the consent calendar and what goes into departmental items. Now, having said that, it's not a carte blanche thing that I just come out of nowhere that, I just make things up. Usually these things have been happened before, like the mayor said, something that we've approved before. Not to say it's rubber stamping, but it's very routine. Personnel matters fall under the personnel report, which is traditionally have been in the consent calendar. These two positions they certainly fall under my purview as far as the ability to recommend hiring, these positions. Ultimately, obviously, that's why it's going in front of you. In order to add it on the schedule of our positions. But to answer your question, why it doesn't go into the departmental items? Number one, positions, your hiring positions, it falls under the city manager's purview. And number two, they fall under the personnel report. And so that's why it goes into the consent calendar.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay, item number 80.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just wondering, because have had constituents ask me when we're going to go back in person and why we still, and if we go back in person, can I still see it on Zoom? Will it still be on YouTube? And I really don't. I said, well, my response is we're waiting to see how things go in terms of the county health department. As soon as things get better with COVID, I'm sure we'll go back to in person. But I just think we should at least have some conversation about it so that our constituents know that we are working toward that way. That's our ultimate outcome. And not only just in person, but I think since we are on Zoom now, it's going to hard to go back to not having it. So we need to also have some conversation about, they just seem, I'm sure you have a plan, but I just think we need to have some conversation about it and how we're going to put this in place, and will it be hybrid, and just how we're going to do it, rather than just every now and again. We don't have to do it at every single council meeting, but at least every now and again, at least have the conversation, let folks know that. Because I have, sitting on council for 2 years, I've never had an in-person meeting. Right. So that there are a lot of things I have never had. So I'm kind of like, well, when am I going to get to do this, or will I have to wait another 4 years? Yeah. But anyway.
So Mayor Pro Tem, like I mentioned right before the meeting started, one of the things that we've been watching is for the numbers to go down. And it was really important after the 4th of July just to see exactly where we're at, because we didn't want to move too quickly. And the city manager, I'm sure he'll go over this in a second, as far as in-person, Zoom, hybrid, as far as what we can and can't do. And just be aware that people are able to watch our meetings on the cable channel, Channel 22. They are able to watch it on YouTube live as it's happening then. Mr. City Manager, would you like to just kind of explain a little more in detail as far as in-person versus hybrid and how we can't do both?
Sure, Mayor Serta and Mayor Pro Tem, I am now going to be explaining, first, I'll go through why we can't have hybrid a hybrid system as far as city council meetings is concerned. We simply don't have the technology to do that. Prior to COVID, we were never forecasting that. We never had any desire to do a hybrid. We've always done in person. Quite frankly, that's really the best way to do it, is in person. So COVID happened, and we moved into a online only Zoom meeting. Having said that, we've tested our capabilities and our infrastructure repeatedly, and most recently during the swearing-in ceremony, we've seen that the level of workaround that we had to do just to make it happen is extraordinary. To do that, let's say we do a hybrid meeting, next meeting, and we have telephonic in the council chambers. There is just too much echo going on. Our cameras are not 4K. They're not set up to broadcast in high definition. Believe it or not, it's set up to, once we go back to in person, you'll see that we still have the old projector in the council chambers. We've never taken it off, and the screen's still there. But we do have new TV screens. We put that in before COVID happened. So right now, the real reason why we can't do a hybrid meeting is because the infrastructure, the capability, technology simply isn't there for us to do that. And it's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to cost well in excess of $500,000 to do that. Now, we have a plan to upgrade our system so that we'll have 4K high definition broadcasting, but to do the hybrid version, we haven't really set up. We haven't tested that long term, so it's just not conducive to do that long term. We don't have a solution for that. But we can have a discussion tonight regarding where the numbers are. Maybe the city council would like to go back to in person. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you. Before I do that, we spoke last month, and we talked about, hey, let's go wait for the 4th of July numbers, and that should come roughly around the end of July 20th, 29th, 30th, and we'll see what happens. If it spikes up, then the county is likely to institute a new mask order. As you know, they didn't institute a new indoor mask order because the numbers were going down. I've gone through their website, and let me just share my screen so you can see what I'm talking about. Can you see that? Okay, so if you look at this graph, this is the LA County daily number of hospitalized COVID-19 patients. This is really the barometer that they use in order to identify, should we go back to indoor mask mandate. So if you go down to roughly around the end of July, which is the 28th, 29th, 30th, as you can see, it really is tapering down. So what that tells us is the county is probably less likely to go back to indoor mask mandate. So my recommendation, if you ask me if we can go back to in-person anytime soon, I think we can at this point, simply because this number, the trend line for the hospitalization is going down. There is no compelling reason why we can't go back to in-person. You wouldn't have to wear a mask. The infrastructure that we have is built in a sense that we have what we have, and we'll continue to use the cameras that we have, and we'll have some temporary cameras in there to facilitate the meetings. But like I said, we are working on a plan. We are working on an RFP toward a contract to upgrade our video and streaming capabilities in the council chambers. What you see there is just half of the equation. There's a room behind it that has all the controls and whatnot, and that all needs to be upgraded. When COVID happened and the supply chain now is affecting us, it's not as easy as before where we can just do a quick RFP and then get done with it. It's very different nowadays. The price has skyrocketed. There simply isn't enough supplies out there for us to do this expeditiously. So we're going to have to be patient. So having said that, we can go back to in-person. You're going to see some, temporary cameras in place. If that's, acceptable, then, then we can go back.
So Clint, I have a question. So once we go back in person, that means all of our commissions go back in person as well. Is that correct?
Carmen, is that
That is correct,
Yes.
Madam Mayor.
So for instance, I have one commission that I sit on that we have members from up north and I'm here in Gardena and so on. Does that mean because the city is going back that I then have to be in person to those meetings now that I would have to travel to them?
If that's a JPA or not an actual legislative body of the city, then they can make that decision on their own. But
Okay.
we're talking about Gardena, all
Gardenas.
of our committees that we have, and remediation as well.
Okay. And then also some of the other things as far as would there be dividers put in there as well, like the clear divider, similar to what we have here in the admin offices, as far as separating us as far as on the dais, as well as I think one of the other things that we did before when COVID first started was we had it where people could sit every other seat, not be a maximum number of people in the council chambers. And I think even not being able to come too close to the dais as well.
Madam Mayor, we were thinking about putting dividers in the council chamber between council members and the mayor.
Okay.
City mayor. But we've not done that. It's because we've never gone back to in-person, and that was back when vaccine was not available.
Okay.
Now that the vaccine is available and hospitalization is relatively lower,
Okay.
we haven't explored the barriers, the clear barriers that we were thinking of before. So the model has changed, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
As far as the public's concerned, it would be up to us for us to stagger the seating. Before, like I said, we had something in place before where we wouldn't, every row would be vacated. But I think that's a little extreme considering that, the level of vaccinations that we have now. I think what we can do at least is have a space between maybe 3 or 4 feet between each
Right.
each participant, each member of the audience. So,
No, and I think that sounds fair. I just know that back when we were in person, what you have a lot of times is even after the meeting, you have people coming to the edge of the dais and a lot of people, wanting to speak to us or whatever. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is that we still come in contact with a lot of people as elected officials. And as far as for our safety now, I'm vaccinated. I think I feel pretty confident all my colleagues are vaccinated. So, mind you, not having the clear barriers or whatever, that's fine. But I have to take into effect that maybe some of the people who are coming up to the dais, maybe they are, maybe they aren't.
Now, Madam Mayor, if the council does desire for us to put barriers, it's not very hard to put barriers in place before the meeting. We just have, they're clear Lexan. We can certainly make that happen. If it's still the wish of the council to do that, we can make it happen. But at this point, we don't have that anymore.
Okay. Okay. Now, how does the rest of the council feel at this point? Everybody speak up at once.
I think I brought this up at a previous council meeting about us going back into a hybrid type of situation. Mr. City Manager, do we have any timeline as far as when this can happen? Because since the numbers are higher now, it seemed like this would be the better time to get it done versus waiting until the numbers are lower and people are now, we don't have that reason why we can't. If you have any idea as far as how long it would take to get this done.
You mean
so
to
we can
go
at least
back?
have something to go back and tell our constituents that we're working on it.
To go back in person?
To go back hybrid.
Oh, no, hybrid is not an option at this point.
Okay, I'm confused. You're saying hybrid is not an option. I know it's not an option at this point, but you were talking about putting out an RFP and to see what it would take and all of that kind of stuff. Do we have any idea, a timeline as far as when that can happen? Or what it would take to make that happen?
The RFP is for the upgrading of the council chambers and the control room to facilitate a high definition in-person council meeting. The hybrid option would drive the cost exponentially, simply because the cameras are going to be different, the acoustics are going to be different, the streaming is going to be different. So we have not. I mean, unless unless the city council would like to go back to would like to explore a hybrid version. I mean, we can certainly look into that, but that model we haven't looked into that model.
Is that something that we can take a look into, since that might be the future? And to me, I would rather be proactive instead of reactive and be able to service all our members of the community, because that would be a little bit forward thinking for us. And since there are people that have started to watch the Zoom meeting that may not come in person, and then there are those that want to come in person. So I think it's something worth us checking into to see what we can do to satisfy our constituents.
I think if a person wants to get to a council meeting, they will come. If not, they can email, they can write letters. And I mean, we've always been open to that. I mean, that's never stopped anybody. I mean, even people who don't speak English, I mean, they've come in with translators, or we've been able to translate for them as well. So, I mean, it's either one way or the other. I mean, versus us putting on this huge cost like this here. So,
I'm just asking for, I'm asking for an idea. If I guess it can be a direction that the city manager come back and let us know what it would take in order to go hybrid versus us just assuming that it's going to be too expensive. Because I agree with Mayor Pro Tem Francis that we really should give our constituents an option.
As far as viewing the meetings, Spectrum is still going to be. We still have the cable channel.
Yeah, they can view it, but they can't interact on Spectrum.
You're correct. They'd have to come to the meeting, which. And
then not everyone has Spectrum.
If they have a cell phone, they can go on YouTube Live.
I just, I don't.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. You had a question.
I know we can't make a decision tonight because we simply don't have enough information and how to go about this. I just thought it would be good at least so I can know that we're at least talking about it. We're considering it. I go back to, I'm a teacher by day. And I'm going back to school in about 2 weeks. And they said no mask and all that. So when we say we need to move cautiously, I don't have a problem with that. I just at least wanted us to have a conversation somewhere, once a month or something, at least talk about it. We're considering this. We haven't decided to go back in person because for whatever reason, so that our constituents would know that, we're missing. Because like I said, I missed that part. But I just want to at least talk about it. That's all.
I think people know that we're always been considering this, but at the end of the day, health is always of our first concern. So when this whole thing happened in the beginning, like I said, it totally caught us off guard, and we had to rush and go to this here now. But all along, I mean, I think everybody wants to get back in person because this is awkward. I mean, you see tonight, we couldn't even get our pledge on. I mean, and it's always easier when a person is here in person. I mean, we haven't been able to have our ministers come on and lead us in invocation. I mean, luckily, Councilmember Tanaka's a minister. So, I mean, at the end of the day, trust me, it's way easier because all of this maneuver. Absolutely. But again, it's always been because of safety. So I don't think it's ever been, hey, we just decided this and we just let it go.
No. That's not what I'm talking about. It's just that folks have asked me about it and I didn't have.
Oh, they've asked nonstop. I've had people from the very beginning say, why did you bother closing the parks? So what COVID's happening? Let the old people die and let us young people go to the park. So believe it or not, there are people who were very adamant about keeping everything open. So again, as council members, as all of us as leaders of the city, we're all looking at not only keeping our community safe, but we as leaders trying to stay safe as well too. So
like I said, I just thought it was important. We at least have the conversations every now and again. We don't have to do this every meeting, but every now and again, at least have an open conversation about it. That's it. Thank you so much. I appreciate your indulgence.
Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I appreciate everybody's comments. So I'm open to either way we do in person or stay in the virtual world. I do want to alert everybody, I'm part of a project that's modernizing a space similar to ours to make it hybrid. It is very expensive. So as long as that we're aware of that, and Mr. City Manager, you can go get that steady and everything, because now there's a lot of folks trying to do the same thing, and they're kind of rethinking that because space our size could be upwards to 500,000, and that's just getting the equipment along with the delays in the supply chain. Although that's healing, we're still looking 5-6 months out from getting equipment, but we should at least investigate, because the interactive piece is what everybody wants to do when they're in the virtual world or in the hybrid world, excuse me. They want to interact with this without necessarily driving to the council chambers, which I kind of agree. So as long as we're all prepared for what that sticker is going to be, then it's something that we should explore. But I'm part of a project now that's doing that, and it's really expensive.
Well, I think if anybody at the end of the meeting would like to make that directive, then for the staff to look into that item, then we can do so at that time. But as it relates to this item here right now, since it is up for discussion, is there any other comments that would like to be made on this? No? Okay, so I just leave that as it is. Then next item then is item number 8G.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I just want to make sure everyone understands. So if you vote to pass resolution 6600, you are voting to continue via Zoom.
Correct. Okay. Next up is item number 8G. I don't know who had the question.
I had it.
Okay.
And if we can do 8G and 8H at the same time, since they're pretty much the same thing.
I'm gonna have to ask that it be done separate, only because Councilwoman Tanaka is gonna have to be recused from that one. So.
Okay. I was just kind of wondering, how long has these two nonprofits been running the bingo? I know the Elks Lodge says that they've been in existence since 1952, but do we have any idea how long they've been doing bingo? Is this something that popped up during COVID or?
Councilmember Love, I don't have that information available, but I can provide you with a follow-up memo as far as how long they have been operating bingo. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I'm looking through this and I can't tell.
I can't say for sure, but it's been a long time. As long as I can remember, the Elks have had a bingo game.
Okay.
I don't know exactly.
And I believe the JCI as well has been had that for a while.
Yeah, I mean more than a couple of years, and they just didn't start when COVID happened. They were having bingo games way before. So will a long time be okay? More than a few years.
How long do we have any other nonprofits that run bingo games?
VFW.
I'm sorry?
VFW.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's it. I just needed to know that information. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, so item number 8H, because I have to take that item up separately, Councilmember Tanaka needs to recuse himself from that item. But I think the question was already asked on that one.
I can cancel that.
Okay, Madam City Attorney, to correct me if I'm not mistaken again. So when we take the items up under excluded, I still need to do item number 8H separately?
Correct.
Okay.
It may be easier for purposes of tonight, Madam Mayor, just do a separate motion for each item.
Okay.
So let's just start with 8C.
Okay. And all right. So on item number 8C, can I get a motion to approve? Okay, so moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Who seconded? I'm sorry, I jumped in.
Me.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, I second the motion. I'm sorry, I made the motion and it was seconded by Henderson. Can you call the roll, please?
Mayor Serta,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Councilmember Love,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Francis.
Yes.
Okay, item number 8E, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Okay, is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Love and a second by Councilmember Henderson.
Councilmember Love,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis,
Yes.
and Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, item number 8G, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there's a motion made by Love and a second by Henderson. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Love,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis,
Yes.
and Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, item number 8H. Can I get a motion to approve this item with excluding Councilmember Tanaka? Who is recusing himself from this item here?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm trying to look at, that was Henderson. I'm sorry.
Henderson, second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, motion made by Councilmember Love and second by Henderson.
Councilmember Love.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis.
Yes.
And Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay. I'm
Madam
sorry,
Mayor.
guys. I'm trying to look and write this, and if I hear you and I'm trying to look at the same time, I apologize. I'm trying to do it.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
the answer is 40 plus years.
The Elks, that's how long they've had bingo?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, so moving on to Planning and Environmental Quality Commission action sheet, just for point of reference, the August 2nd, 2022 meeting was canceled. Next up is oral communications. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak at this time?
No, Madam Mayor, we do not have any hands up.
Okay, so before we move on to item number 11, 11A, which is departmental items, I would like to move an item out of order here. I want to move item number 17A, which is the approval of the donation of the retired vehicles to the sister city of Guadalupe, Mexico. Reason being, they're a couple of hours ahead of us, so we'd like to just go ahead and move this item sooner than later. This is more of an international thing here, and so if nobody objects to that, I'd like to just take 17A up first and then go back to our regular order here in the agenda.
A second.
Oh, we don't have to take a vote on it. I'm just.
You do, Madam Mayor.
I'm sorry.
You do. You need a majority vote.
Okay. So let's go with Mayor Pro Tem Francis. You'll make the motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay. Deputy Clerk, motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Francis and a second by Love. Will you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Francis.
Yes.
Councilmember Love.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
And Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, Mr. City Manager, item number 17A.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 17A to approve donation of retired vehicles to the sister city of Guadalupe, Mexico. The city is proposing to donate 4 vehicles to the sister city of Guadalupe. Staff has determined that the vehicles have outlived their useful life for city service. The city has donated vehicles to Guadalupe twice before, in 2008 and 2014. They have again expressed interest in receiving vehicles. 4 vehicles are proposed for donation. G-Trans proposes to donate a Dodge Grand Caravan used in a special transit service purchased in 2011 using federal grant funds. This vehicle has outlived its useful life of 4 years or 100,000 miles at 11 years of age. And G-Trans proposes to donate 1 Nova bus, also purchased under a federal grant and surpassing its useful life of 12 years of 500,000 miles. The Recreation Department proposes to donate 2 Ford E Super Duty Cutaways, purchased in 2003, originally used in special transit service but transferred to the Recreation Department, exceeding their useful life of 7 years of 200,000 miles. And typically, if auctioned, most vehicles yield less than $5,000 after fees and expense. Since all vehicles were originally purchased using federal funds, G-Trans is required to return a portion of any proceeds, about $5,000, to the FDA. Since the city is not sending these vehicles to auction, an appropriate estimating tool will be used to determine the value of the vehicles at the time of donation and ensure that applicable amounts, if any, are remitted back to the FDA. The estimated proceeds that may be due to FDA are $5,000, and if approved, City of Guadalupe has accepted the responsibility and liability of receiving and transporting the donated vehicles to Guadalupe, Mexico. The estimated cost of G-Trans is $5,000, which can be accommodated within the fiscal year 23 budget previously approved by council. There is no impact to the general fund, and what is required tonight is to approve the donation.
Okay. Do we have any questions or comments at this time?
I do have a question, Mayor Serta. Do we ever donate these buses to local nonprofits? I'm okay with donating to I'm not even going to try to pronounce this city in Mexico, but I'm all for it. I'm just curious as to if we donate to local nonprofits.
Councilmember Love, I don't believe we've ever donated anything to anything like local nonprofits, simply because most of the things that we've donated in the past were buses. And I don't think they're in any capability of receiving buses that big for local nonprofits.
Have we ever tried to donate local? I'm all for supporting our sister city in Mexico, but I'm also for supporting our local nonprofits. And so
usually our first course of action when we have vehicles like this would be to either, we look to our sister city, which is the buses. And then after that, we auction it. We auction it and, receive proceeds. Now, when we auction items in the past, those are non-FTA funds, so they go back to the general fund. Only on occasions of G-Trans do we have to remit certain funds back to the FTA. So to answer your question, I don't believe we've donated before to any local nonprofits, simply because the sizes of the buses they wouldn't be able to accept it.
According to the information, that there's a variety of sizes of buses and vans that are donated to our sister city. And so I'm just kind of curious as to, do we ever look out, considering that, the auctions, they're only being auctioned off for like $5,000. That's not a large amount to be donated to an additional nonprofit that's local. So that was my question.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak?
No, Madam Mayor, we do not.
Okay. Mr. Saul Luego, would you like to say anything at this time?
Buenas noches. Nosotros pues estamos representando al Comité de Ciudades Hermanas, tanto el ingeniero Juan Luis como yo, y agradecemos mucho el recibir esos medios de transporte como donación. Estos servirán a nuestra comunidad para transportar estudiantes, personas sin carro, podrán también atraer personas de lejos a los servicios médicos comunitarios y también para que nuestros atletas asistan a algunas competencias deportivas de la comunidad. Reciban un saludo de todo el comité de aquí de Guadalupe, Ciudad Hermanas, y agradecemos verdaderamente esta donación que pues nos servirá de mucho para nuestras necesidades aquí, pues es muy grande nuestra comunidad y muchas las necesidades. Gracias.
Okay, thank you. Is Georgina on the call as well, Deputy Clerk?
Yes, she is.
Would she be able to translate for us? Was she able to get everything?
I will ask her to see, do we, before we speak to Mr. Juan Luis?
Yeah, if we could just get her, if she's available to translate what was said. Did she catch everything?
Give me just a moment.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Director Crespo is also online, and he's
okay.
He's listening. He can do the translation if you wish. He's ready now.
Okay.
So that's just an option if we wanted to do that.
Okay. Initially, I had planned for Georgina to be prepared to do it.
Yeah, she's ready. But we were just wondering, we saw a hand up, Edwin, and we're wondering if he has anything to do with the Guadalupe people. Probably not, but
Okay, well, let's bring Georgina on first. Please.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and council members.
Mm-hmm.
So Mr. Saul Lugo translated that he appreciates the bus donations and that they are used to transport students, many residents, including athletes, and that he is very appreciative of the donation.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, let's bring in Mr. Edwin, you mentioned.
Hello.
Hello, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Great, thank you. Did you want to say anything as related to this project here?
No, I joined in late. I have a subject that I want to bring up, and I want to know.
Is it on this item here?
It's on the Gardena side, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Is it regarding the donation buses?
No, it's for something completely different.
Okay, well, sir, what I can do is at the end of the meeting, I can bring back oral communications at that time. I just have to stick to this particular item here.
Like I said,
okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Clerk, if you can just remind me at the end of our meeting for oral communication purposes. Okay, any more questions or comments as it relates to this item here? If not, can I get a motion to approve the donation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Francis and I'm sorry, I didn't see who the second was. Who seconded?
Councilwoman Love.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You couldn't take the hand.
It doesn't matter. I just have to see you and throw your hand up, please. Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Francis and a second by Councilmember Love. Can you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Francis.
Yes.
Councilmember Love.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
And Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay. So
Were you going to talk to Mr. Luis?
I'm sorry.
There's
another representative from Guadalupe, Juan Luis.
Did he want to say anything at this time, or?
We can promote him to panelists. I think they all were looking to say a few words.
Okay, let him come in and say a few words while we're on this item still. Mr. Luis, if you'd like to say anything, you can unmute now, and if you'd like to say a few words. Mr. Juan Luis, if you'd like to say anything, you can speak now. I believe you can unmute at this time. Okay.
Serta, he's not. We're trying to actually promote him to panelists, and he is not unmuting himself, so he's not accepting.
Mayor and council, do you mind if I ask him in Spanish if he would like to say something?
Sure, go right ahead.
Señor Juan Luis, si nos puede escuchar en este momento, si quiere decir algo, puede hacerlo.
Okay. Either he's unable to, or maybe doesn't want to at this time. So, Georgina, could you just let Mr. Saul Luego know that everything was approved, and congratulations on the new items, the new vehicles, I'm sorry.
Señor Saúl Lugo, nomás queríamos decirle que todo fue aprobado y los bases fueron aprobados para Guantabampo. y gracias por su participación en esta junta de hoy.
Gracias. Quizás, compañero, aquí el internet es muy bajo y quizás tuvo problemas con el internet. Es situación de aquí de la comunidad, muy malo el servicio, pero pues estamos muy agradecidos. Somos una comunidad de las más pobres de Sonora. Y pues y también el internet es malo también aquí. Quizás ese es el problema. También el otro compañero no estaba trabajando y no pudo asistir el otro compañero, pero va a servir mucho eso y qué bueno que todos estuvieron de acuerdo en la donación. Gracias. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm sorry, there was somebody who had their hand up as well on this item here, Deputy Clerk?
It looks as though Cherie Farmer has her hand up.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hi, yes. I was just going to say, with regard to working with local nonprofits, I work with a ton of nonprofits, and I just think that they would love to work with the city, and I think they would be very interested in knowing that they, might be able to work with you with regard to donation of any form of transportation. They may be large, but there's a lot of organizations that may utilize those to transport students, to transport product, things that they're donating to other nonprofits or to the homeless or any other organization or people that are in need. So I think if the community knew, if nonprofits knew that this is something that the city would be interested in doing, I think many of them would come forward and have an interest in it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that being said, let's move back to our original agenda item here, which is item number 11A. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 11A is a public hearing for our proposed 48-year Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG program, which is a one-year action plan for use of funds for fiscal year 22-23. The action plan outlines the projected use of the city's federal resources in the city of Gardena, and also identifies the period in which an aggregate of 70% of CDBG funds will be expended on low and moderate income activities. Any comments received at this evening's meeting will be incorporated into the 48-year CDBG program HUD action plan, one-year use of funds, to be submitted to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, by the August 15, 2022 deadline. Furthermore, an additional public comment period has been opened from August 4th, 2022 to September 2nd, 2022. And if any revisions to the plan arise from this comment period, then staff will amend the 48-year CDBG program action plan as submitted to HUD. Draft documents are available for public inspection on the city's website at www.cityofgardena.org. Total amount in here is $601,759 in program expenditures. The funding source would be the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And what's required tonight is conduct a public hearing and approve the plan.
Okay. I'm sorry, do we have a presentation on this item here, or you said, or no?
We don't.
Okay, so at this time, the public hearing is now open. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments at this time? No. Deputy Clerk, do we have anybody from the public who has any questions or comments? I'm sorry, you muted.
Edwin has his hand up.
Okay. On this item here, okay. Let's go ahead. Mr. Edwin, you had a question or comment on item number 11A?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought it was time for open comments.
No, I'll do that at the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. Do we have anybody else from the public? I'll get you public. One second.
No.
Okay.
Not, Madam Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem, you have a question?
Yes. And I don't have it right in front of me. I'm sorry, I left it. But in the one of the areas was helping very low income with homelessness and prevention of homelessness. And it just talked about low income and low income people. But I was wondering, would that include seniors? Our growing population, the most significantly growing population of new unhoused people are seniors. And would they be included in that group, or is just for families, or is there a way we could specifically earmark that? And then I got two questions. The other one is that I thought we had some money left over from the CARES Act for rental assistance.
Yeah.
And does it talk about how we can better serve that particular segment of our population as well? So I got two, one for homeless and then one for the unhoused seniors potentially.
So let me take the first question, which can our seniors be included in the CDBG program as far as taking advantage of some of the programs they have, rehabs and fair housing, et cetera. So the main criteria for selection on the CDBG program, which is federal funds, would be the income level. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if our seniors fall within this category, then they are qualified. However, if they don't fall within this category, then obviously they can't qualify, because that is a federally mandated core requirement for the CDBG program. Now, our seniors have other avenues, for us to be able to help them. Recreation has a number of, as you know, we keep on bringing amendments for senior care and senior programs. But for this particular, not to go off topic, and I know Carmen is probably going to be chiming in anytime now as far as keeping within the item at hand. The criteria is the income for CDBG. As you know, there's owner-occupied rehabs. There's rebates up to 50%, up to $3,000. There's a lot of things going on in this very important program that we have with CDBG. So it's important that we, obviously it's important that you, the City Council, adopt this tonight, and then so we can submit it to HUD to get our allocation. The second part would be the CARES Act money. To answer your question, there is still about $330-something thousand available. And again, the criteria on that is rent relief for residents. You must be directly affected with COVID in order to qualify for that. We've gotten a lot of applications on that, and unfortunately, if it's not COVID related, and we do check, and it has to be within that parameters, and if it's not within that, then we have to deny them because the money's coming from the feds. So to answer, the second question is there is still around $300,000 for rent relief for our residents.
Yeah, and there's just one more question. What are we doing different in this grant? Are we pretty much, is it carry the same programs that we had the previous 5 years, or is there anything that we're doing different to improve, access, or the same thing?
So again, what's different that we're doing is we've extended the comment period another 30 days up until September, September 2nd, 2022, just to get a little bit more comments and see if anybody missed, the action plan. HUD dictates what we put in the program year as far as, the actual programs themselves. And, we don't have any say in that. But we're going to be doing the same outreach that we've been doing in the past as far as making sure that our residents are aware of the programs that we have with CDBG. And a big part of that is the program administration. That's why we're allowed to take 20% of that, because we have people in our staff that are they spend like half of the year doing this. And so they charge directly to, big portion of their salaries are charged like through CBG because they actually do this. The action plan, the 5-year plan, the actual program itself, there's a lot to do within the year. So this is just the first step, is for us to get the money so we can then, apply it to our community.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I was hoping the other thing. I was just hoping that perhaps the next go around, even now, we do a little bit better job of getting word. I mentioned to you, I'm on city council, and it had not been for it being on the agenda, I wouldn't have known it was coming up. Public comment meeting coming up, and then I went back through and looked at the newspaper. So okay, it's there, and thank you for the extra 30 days. So, but I was hoping that maybe in terms of outreach, we might be able to. I'm not quite sure what we can do, but at least to reach more people. So that before the deadline comes, we have public. I know with COVID, it's been very difficult, but if next time we have more public meetings to talk about Cdbg programs and what they're for, and how the public can be more, community can be more engaged. That's all. Thank you. Appreciate it.
But Mayor Pro Tem, the barometer for figuring out if this program is working for our community is the popularity. I mean, we are completely. I mean, we spend the money every year. It's very rare that we have some monies that we carry over the next year. It's very popular, and we do service the community 100%. So I think the outreach is working. I think it's sufficient because we are getting the word out, and people are taking advantage of it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'll just keep my ears open a little bit better. Maybe I'm not paying close enough attention, but if I, as an elected official, didn't know, and there's a problem there. So, and of course, spend, popular and all that, no doubt, those that know, but we also have to make sure that those that don't know are able to. And I appreciate your effort. I'll just make some suggestions in terms of, but popularity doesn't always indicate success.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you approve tonight, it doesn't mean that we still can't do the outreach to, this is just the first step. The outreach really happens after we get the allocation, after we get the money. Then we could still blast it in social media. People are still gonna hear about it. So tonight this is just a matter of approving the plan, and then we go to work after this.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate your comments.
Any more questions or comments?
I do have a question for
Go ahead.
City Manager. Is there any type of reporting or any information that we can get, maybe it's done on a quarterly basis, to let us know how the programs are doing, what programs we need to put a little more attention to, or is this just done at an annual basis, or is it done at all?
No, there is reporting after, as far as the total number of people that you've serviced. In fact, it's in the action plan on the previous years, exactly how many people were actually affected.
So it's done on an annual basis?
It is on an annual basis, yes. No, it's an annual basis. That is on the program itself, and then there's obviously since money is involved, it's part of. It wouldn't be in the single audit because it's under 700,000, but it does fall under the purview of our annual audit, the annual audit that we go through, because it is a major program that we have. It's not a major program in single audit, but it's a major program for the city.
So it's a total of $700,000. Would it be too much to do a quarterly report as far as
the total is actually 600. We could probably provide I'd have to go back and see what's all involved as far as getting a report out quarterly. Again, we're only charging 20% of the Cdbg funds to cover staff time, and every quarter would, I'd have to get back to you if that's something that the city council would like to see.
Would it help us identify the areas that we're falling short in that may need a little more attention? Or are you saying that all of the programs offered are promoted and people are aware of it? I'm like Mayor Pro Tem, I'm big on making sure our residents know what's available to them.
So the core program is finite, right? So we have the owner-occupied rehab, we have the Health and Safety Code Enforcement, we have the Youth and Family Services Bureau, and then we have the Fair Housing Services. Short of that, there is no other criteria that we can use because it's federally mandated. The only other metric that you have is this are we using all the money that they're giving us? And the answer to that question is yes. So other than that, what other metric are we gonna look for?
Okay, well, maybe not quarterly, maybe like every 6 months, the 6 month period. So I'm not trying.
We'll have to come back and take a look at it.
So these programs that we're talking about, we've had these for years. I mean, I talk about them in all the neighborhood watch meetings I go to because I can't tell you the number of seniors who've been able to participate in the loan program, the grant program, all of these here. So, I mean, I don't know why you guys hadn't heard about it because, I mean, as each of us go out to neighborhood watch meetings and things like that, we talk about that and our staff knows. So especially our seniors take advantage. The handy worker program, the fixer program, I have neighbors and I mean, all around that they take care of it. So, I mean, we do the best we can. And even with our magazine, putting it out there, there's always room to continue getting this out there. And now that so many of us are on social media, I mean, we have the ability to put it out there as well, but they've been around and we have been promoting these.
Pardon me,
Go ahead,
Madam
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I wasn't suggesting that people didn't know about the program. It's just that I was concerned that because it was up for renewal, I just hadn't heard, that's all, until it hit the agenda. That's all I'm suggesting.
Oh, I think the Mayor Pro Tem is referring to popularity, meaning that people are hearing about the program because, this is the first time a lot of people are hearing about it.
Just about the new renewal part. Just about, I was just about it being up for renewal. I didn't know, and I just...
We renew it every year.
I just didn't know this time.
Okay.
It's just first time I seen it on the agenda. So okay. I'm sorry, I just didn't know, perhaps I need to do my homework, but maybe that's it. I'll take that hit. But in terms of, and I mentioned it to see, in terms of the public notice, I didn't know that it had been published because, I just didn't get the Guardian News this time. And I didn't see it in the Daily Breeze because I don't usually read that part of the newspaper. I like the comics and the local news and headlines that don't attract anything. So that's all. So I'm not suggesting that, because every now and then somebody will ask me about, does he do anything? I said, oh yeah, they do this. They have the handyman program and all that. So there's a lot going out there. And when I don't know, I'll find out. But that's all. So please, I wasn't intended to criticize or anything like that. Just a clarification. That's all. Thank you so much.
Okay. Any more questions or comments? No? Okay. So at this time, let's go ahead and close the public hearing. And can I get a motion to, hold on. Can I get a motion to approve the action plan for year 2022 through 2023?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second. Deputy City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Francis and a second by myself. Can you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Francis?
Yes.
Mayor Serta?
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
And Councilmember Love?
Yes.
Okay, next up is item number 11B.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 11B is approval of additional blanket purchase orders for fiscal year 22-23. A blanket purchase order authorizes the city to buy goods or services with predetermined terms or conditions. And since these vendors either have individual contracts, are piggybacking on state contracts, or provide vital services which the city is mandated to use, it is only necessary for the acquisitioner to request one purchase order for the estimated amount of the expenditure for the fiscal year. These blanket purchase orders, or BPOs, for G-Trans are in addition to those that were approved by the City Council on July 26, 2022. The BPO is limited to buy a dollar amount as approved by its council, and the purchasing officer can issue releases of goods or services until the pre-established dollar amount is reached. For the city's purchasing policy, section 3B, the purchase of goods or services in excess of $30,000 must be authorized by the City Council. Therefore, as the estimated budgeted expenditure amount exceeds $30,000, it is requested that council approve the following G-Trans BPOs for fiscal year 22-23 as specified in Exhibit A. G-Trans is eligible operating and capital funds approved for the fiscal year 23 budget, previously adopted by the City Council. Total G-Trans budgeted expenditures is $862,363. There is no impact to the general fund. What is required tonight is to approve additional blanket purchase orders.
Okay. Okay, item number 11B. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak on this item?
No, we do not, Madam Mayor.
Okay, does any member of the council have any questions or comments on this item?
I just have one quick one.
Go ahead.
So this amazes every time, because I know we approved a whole block of purchase orders last council meeting. So every time that, are we going to do this every time we get a request to fund something or buy something? Do we always have to have the blanket purchase order motion come back on the agenda? Or
Mayor Pro Tem, no. The blanket purchase orders typically, and this is with any cities that utilize this system, is done once every year. What you do is you run your report, you figure out what you're going to be spending for the next year, and you go once to the City Council, not twice. Having said that, this is just an oversight. I'm going to be quite frank with you. It's just an oversight, not by G-Trans staff. And all of this is G-Trans. And this is, my apologies for coming back to you for additional BPOs. Some of these amounts were not ascertained until a later time, probably what caused the oversight. But I can assure you that we are not coming back to you. I'm not going back in front of you and asking for additional blanket purchase orders after tonight's meeting. This is just a one-time anomaly. Usually this is done once a year.
Oh, all right then. So do they bring the purchase order to you and then you sign off on it, or it's automatic process?
It goes through our system and financial system in Eden. It goes through a number of different checks and balances. Different people have to authorize it. Different amounts have to, be authorized by different managers and supervisors. And then finally, it comes to admin services where the purchase orders are created and approved, and then we can start spending the funds. Again, I want to be clear that, this is all G-Trans. This is all G-Trans POs, but this has nothing to do with the G-Trans staff. This is an internal oversight by our staff.
And there's no impact to the general fund. This is
correct. There is no impact to the general fund. This is all G-Trans. Otherwise, what would have happened is if we didn't go back to you for a BPO, you would have had 1, 2, 3, 6 items that would have came before the City Council for an agenda, which can be handled realistically with a BPO process.
Yes.
Administratively.
Yeah, it's okay. Streamline as long as the checks and balances is there. I don't have a problem with streamlining certain parts.
Again, just to be clear for the folks, we want to make sure that our public is educated. We are not, let's say, for instance, the BPO is for $100,000 or $1 million. We're not sending them $1 million or $100,000. This is merely giving the authority to spend up to that much. We're going to spend hopefully below that, but if we do spend over that, then we come back to you and say, City Council, we'd like additional approval for additional expenditure because of X, Y, and Z. Usually inflation, higher prices, et cetera, but rarely does that happen.
All right, thank you for that clarification. I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions or comments?
I have one question, City Manager. I know you said it was an oversight, and this is in addition to what has already been approved. This is a pretty large oversight.
It is. When you're working with spreadsheets, it's never happened before, but it's an oversight. I want to be completely transparent with you as far as what happened here. But I want to mind you that, we deal with a lot of things and a lot of funds. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we do have checks and balances, and we do catch them.
And I understand, but the city manages a very large budget. And so, okay. All right. Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Okay. If not, can I get a motion to approve the additional blanket purchase order?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Tanaka and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Francis. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis,
Yeah.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Love,
Yes.
and Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay. Next up is Next up is item number 12A, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 12A is the short-term rentals for lodging discussion. The Community Development Department has received numerous inquiries regarding the legality of short-term rentals, or STRs. An STR is any rental of a dwelling of 30 days or less. The introduction of online platforms such as Airbnb and VRBO currently have numerous listings for properties within Gardena. Regulations relating to STRs can either be totally permissive, completely prohibitive, or somewhere in between. It is staff's belief that regulations are required as these rentals turn residential uses into commercial uses and change the character of the neighborhood. There is no financial impact. What's required tonight is provide direction to staff to draft an ordinance.
Okay. Just Mark, hold on 1 second. Does staff have a presentation or anything you want to say prior to, or?
Yes, we do have a short presentation if you'd like to hear that first.
Let's go ahead and hear that first because we may have questions as it relates to that.
Okay, we're going to share our screen here. Yeah. Okay, can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Tonight's discussion is about short-term rentals. We have a short presentation, and go to next slide here. So just a recap on what a short-term rental is. Typically, it's defined as a renting of a dwelling unit, which is shared in whole or in part, meaning it could be the whole dwelling unit or maybe just a bedroom or actually an amenity that we've recently seen. For usually periods of 30 days or less as a way of generating rental income. Most recently, we're starting to see not only the dwelling unit being defined as a short-term rental, but we're starting to see it kind of broaden in definition and include things like hourly and daily rentals of swimming pools in people's backyards, and also as like a daily special event venue, like maybe hosting weddings. That could also be included in this definition of a short-term rental. So why we're bringing this to you for discussion, our Gardena Municipal Code doesn't specifically prohibit short-term rentals. There's been a recent case law known as Keene versus City of Manhattan Beach, and I'd actually like Lisa to kind of brief you on that.
So generally, Gardena and other cities use what's called permissive zoning. If a use is not listed in the municipal code, then according to the city, it's prohibited. That's how Gardena functions. That's theoretically how Manhattan Beach functions. Manhattan Beach tried to argue that because short-term rentals weren't listed as an allowed use, they were prohibited under the city's code. The case involved the Coastal Commission, but that's not relevant for how it impacts all other cities. What the court said was because residential uses are allowed in residential zones, and residential uses don't specify how many days a person has to stay in a dwelling, short-term rentals are not prohibited under permissive zoning. So therefore, if a city wants to prohibit a short-term rental for lodging, they have to specifically go in and amend their ordinance to provide such prohibition. For the other types of things that Greg was talking about, people who are now renting their backyards out for special event venues or renting their swimming pools by the hour, those we can argue are prohibited under permissive zoning because they're not residential use as far as lodging goes, but it would be better if the council wants to prohibit them to specifically call it out so it's quite clear in the code.
So those first two kind of go hand in hand. The Gardena Municipal Code doesn't specifically prohibit it, or it doesn't specifically prohibit short-term rentals. And this new recent case says we ought to, if that's what we're going to do. In addition to that, we're seeing an increase of inquiries on the ability to have STRs in the city. Our planning division has been taking numerous calls, people wanting to do it more and more often. My code enforcement here in community development, they've seen an increase of complaints regarding short-term rentals, usually with noise or parking or the amount of people that they're seeing next to residential homes. We've also done a little research and there's been numerous listings found on different platforms on the internet. Platforms are things such as Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com. There's a few others. And so staff is really looking for direction on two options, either to prohibit the short-term rentals in Gardena, which is what we're currently enforcing, or to permit short-term rentals. And so we've kind of looked around at our neighboring South Bay cities. And so those who are currently prohibiting would be cities of Redondo Beach, Manhattan Beach for the most part. They are doing some amendments to it, I think to also include their coastal areas. Inglewood, I think, saw a huge uptick with their SoFi Stadium and whatnot coming up. And so they actually put a moratorium on it. I think it became such a hard or nuisance to them. Lawndale prohibits it. There's other cities who are permitting STRs. Lomita is permitting it, but kind of like how Gardena would be, where they're not really specifying it. So by this new case law, it would be permitted. We believe Carson is the same way. We really couldn't find anything that prohibited it, so we assume that they're allowing it because they don't specifically prohibit it. Cities of El Segundo, Hermosa Beach, Torrance, and Hawthorne, they have pretty strict regulations where it can be numbers, how many can be rented or used as short-term rentals at any one time, specific zones, whether or not the owner has to occupy the home or not. And so there's a number of different ways that you could regulate it. But all in all, staff is just looking for direction whether or not you'd like to prohibit it. And if so, then direct staff to draft an ordinance prohibiting short-term rentals. If you're looking to permit short-term rentals, then direct staff to draft an ordinance either to allow it pretty much without any regulation. Just, hey, get a business license, make sure you're paying your transit orient tax, transit occupancy tax, and let them do that, or permit STRs and have regulations. And these regulations can be pretty intensive. And so we would request that you direct staff to work with the Planning Commission, come up with a draft ordinance, and then we would come back to you for more input. So that's where we're at now. I could go more into different options if you decide to permit STRs, but at this point in time of my presentation, just wanted to see whether or not you were interested in prohibiting or permitting short-term rentals.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Let's open it up for questions. Councilmember Henderson had his hand up first. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for that presentation, Greg, in regards to that. You brought up another question. Now, in regards to those cities, El Segundo, Hawthorne, Hermosa, Torrance, that kind of have some regulations drafted, what was their criterion in regards to selection process of properties that would do that? Did they spread them out the city, throughout their city, 20 per district? How did they do that? And then what did that add to staff administrative overhead as far as all that work now?
Well, and so I'll speak to a neighboring city that is real near Gardena. They did a rental ordinance that put it in specific zones. It wasn't really in any particular north, south, east, west part of the city. It was just in wherever this type of a zone was located, they allowed it. They limited the number of licenses that they would issue all the way down to, I think they limited it to 10 at any one time. They limited it as far as what they call multiple bookings, meaning that, you know, if they're renting out multiple rooms, only so many could do it at one time. I think in our staff report, we identified some torrents. I believe they were looking at
a home share only.
So they did a home share only, meaning that the owner has to be present. It can't be where they're either on a long-term vacation and while they're gone, they're renting out their home, or they own another primary residence, maybe in another city, and they own this other property in Gardena, and so they want to short-term rental that house as a short-term rental rather than, you know, a long-term lease to someone.
I think generally what the neighboring city did of only 10 permits per year is unusual. I think usually the cities do it by zones, you know, be it home share, or you can do the short-term rentals. It could be just the R1 zones or just R2, R3, R4 type zones. Those are all the directions we're looking for if the council wishes to allow short-term rentals. It's really what is your imagination. Homes which have an ADU or an SB9 unit cannot be used for short-term rentals. That's by law.
Affordable housing units.
Affordable housing units, then it wouldn't qualify for a short-term rental because you wouldn't be meeting the income qualifications.
There's a whole host of options that we would go through, and, you know, depending on if that's the council's direction.
If, as far as administrative costs, it would be like any other type of city service where a permit fee would be established that would cover the city's expenses. We'd figure out how much staff time was involved in it and then charge a fee along with business license.
Okay, thank you. Then my second question regards to if we were to come up with some sort of solution in the middle versus fully allowing it all over the place or denying it altogether, what about, would it be discriminatory if we said in our regulations, if we permitted this, that if you live near a park or a school zone, you cannot have such a facility because we want to control the potentiality of predators coming into our community and everything? Can that be put in the regulation? And if so, does that open us up to potential liability because now we're exercising the discriminatory practice?
It's something we'll have to look at.
Okay.
I've not heard of any of the cities around here doing that, but we'll certainly look into it if that's the council's desire or direction.
Okay. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis?
Yes, I have only a few questions. So you mentioned there were numerous calls. How many is numerous?
From planning for whether there's the ability to use a short-term rental.
No. How you said you received numerous calls regarding short-term rentals. I was just wondering how many is numerous.
Yeah. So the ones that came into planning, would you average 2 to 3 a week?
Yeah, we get numerous calls, like
So
Greg saying, and
maybe,
emails as well.
So maybe 2 to 3 a week.
Over a month?
Over the past
24
few months.
Yeah.
Over the past maybe
12, yeah.
10, 12 months.
Gardena currently has, if you go on the various platforms, there's probably at least 20 rentals right now.
I saw that. Thank you. And you say you had numerous complaints from code enforcement?
Several complaints from code.
I just wondered what the number was.
I don't have a specific number, but I would say that it's been enough to bring this up as part of the discussion. So I would say we get, within the last couple of months, I would say I've gotten 4 to 5.
All right, thank you. And this is, I'm not quite sure who to direct this question to. Until now, you said that since we don't have anything in place, single short-term rentals are not prohibited because this King versus Manhattan Beach ruling, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so could we tonight declare a moratorium until we have more time to discuss it and do some research and investigate what we can do? Can we do that? Can that be an option?
Mayor Pro Tem, so tonight what we're doing is we're just discussing it for it to come back later on as far as staff can do more research and so on. They just want to get some direction. We're not taking any action on this tonight other than just what are our feelings of this here. So it's going to come back and we'll have more time to discuss it.
But we couldn't say until we take some time discussing all that. We couldn't say until right now, we're just going to declare a moratorium on all short-term rentals until we can figure out what it is we want to do.
We couldn't do it tonight because it's not on the agenda and it would have to be added as an urgency item on the agenda. And I think since it's been going on, you couldn't make the findings to support that there was an immediate need to add it on tonight. It could certainly come to the city council for the 45-day moratorium at the city council's next meeting. And then after 45 days, that moratorium can be renewed up to a year and 11 months and 15 days for a total of, or 10 months and 15 days for a total of a 2-year moratorium while you're working on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, because we've had moratoriums that are longer than 45 days, but since it's not on the agenda, we can't declare a moratorium because it's not on the agenda. But could we put it on the agenda for next meeting to have this moratorium in place until we can figure out exactly what is.
If that's a council directive.
A directive.
Down the directive.
A directive.
Okay, so I need to wait till directives. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate your response. I just get a little confused. People say numbers. I mean, I like dealing in hard numbers, and I'll after meeting I'll tell you a little bit of story why I don't play with statistics and numbers because I've done some things just based on that and gotten away with it based on numbers. So anyway.
Any more questions or comments?
Tonight we're just discussing it just so that staff can have some direction. It would still go before planning. It would still come before us. And even if we said we're in favor of it and we want limitations on it, we would still do an official votes, but they just need somewhere to start with this. So that's why it's up for some discussion. So I know there's 3 options: to moratorium, to say no, or to agree with amendments or restrictions, right?
I think on a permanent basis, it would be called a prohibition, not a moratorium. Okay. I think what Inglewood did was essentially what Mayor Pro Tem Francis just said is it became such a problem immediately because of SoFi Stadium that they went in under the emergency regulations and put a moratorium on while they figure out what to do.
It was because Super Bowl, they ran out hotels and people ran out their houses, and that's why they did it. It was everywhere. So that's why they did it.
Do we have any licensed units like this in the city now?
No, we do not have any licensed units. We have people doing it in our city.
I know.
We don't issue a business license.
Okay, so do you need a motion?
No, we're not there yet. Let me. I need to open it up to the public as well too. Any other council members have any questions or comments?
So, Ms. Kranitz, home shares are not included in this, correct?
Well, that's what we're looking for direction on. So the home share is the idea that you were at your house and maybe you're renting one bedroom out for supplemental income or to keep, because you don't want to be lonely all the time.
And that's what I was going to say is that because the COG is actually promoting home share, it's long-term. It's usually like a person that has a home that lives by themselves, and they are looking for maybe somebody to come in and live with them and help them with the bills, the groceries, the chores, that kind of stuff. And it's actually long-term. It's not
that wouldn't be included when we're talking in this term of home share. It's still a short-term rental for under 30 days, but under a home share, the owner is required to be present in the home while they're renting it out. And the idea there is that if the owner's present, then it's not being used for a party house. It's just one room, not the whole house. You don't get 15 people actually moving in. I mean, some of the rentals that I've looked at in Gardena and elsewhere, it's like, well, we've put in the 2 sets of bunk beds that have the full on the bottom and the twin on the top, so you can get 6 people in one room. And then it becomes you changing the character of the neighborhood.
And so, Mr. Sugiuchi, you said that there's some issues with code enforcement. What type of issues did we get? Were they like parties? Were they just, loud people? What kind of issues did you have?
The ones that came on, I'd say at least 3 times were noise. And it's usually it's not uncommon for short-term rentals. People rent a larger house and then they host a party there. So several of the calls, or I would say 3 for Mayor Pro Tem's sake, 2 to 3 calls have come in for noise. For sure, I'd say 2 came in because of parking being taken up in the neighborhood. And then there was 1 call where it was just a complaint that, they said what Ms. Kranitz was saying, that it's taken away from our neighborhood. These are residential neighborhoods. They're not, little hotels on our blocks that we want. So it was kind of just a general complaint.
Okay. So the reason I asked that question is I'm kind of against this whole issue because once you open Pandora's box, then all of a sudden you'll start having home parties, just like they're doing in the commercial areas, where all of a sudden they'll take over a house and there'll be 200 people in a house. And then we have a law enforcement issue. Police department staffing is going to have to, take that in effect. So that's why I asked that. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Excuse me. Any more questions or comments?
I have a comment. I know that there's some issues with some properties already being used for Airbnb. I've gotten those calls at the chamber office about this, but I would hate for us to deny responsible property owners the opportunity to make some extra money. I mean, we will always have those that are not considerate of other residents or the fact that these are neighborhoods. But I would really like for us to allow staff to come back with some findings and some suggestions and consider approving with restrictions instead of just a blanket moratorium and saying no to everything.
Any more questions or comments? Madam Deputy Clerk, do we have anybody from the public who wishes to speak on this item?
Yes, we do, Mayor Serta. We have 2 hands that are up.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, I think it's Sharice. Sharice.
Hello.
Hi. You can go ahead and begin.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Good evening. I'm listening to everybody speak about the Airbnb. My question is, right now, are they legal to have in Gardena? are they permitted to use them as Airbnb? Because really, on our side, I know of 3 that are on our side, and I'm just wondering if it's just legal to have them. I'm done.
Okay.
You'll see a lot of different traffic there. And one of the houses, I don't know if you guys were aware of, that they did an FBI raid on it. They had the dogs, the Secret Service, they had everybody because somebody was selling guns from the Airbnb on that street. So I don't know. If it's not legal for them to have it, I would like to know that. And if it is legal for them to have it right now, that I would like to know that too. Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Suchuch, can you just relay again what was said?
Yeah, I'm going to defer to our Assistant City Attorney.
So as we said, we used to believe we had the authority to say you can't have them under the concept of permissive zoning. It wasn't allowed in our code, therefore it's prohibited. The case that came out earlier this year in Manhattan Beach destroyed that argument, which is why we're now bringing it to the council. We need if the desire is to regulate or prohibit, we need specific ordinance adopted to that effect. So right now, yes, they are legal.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Deputy Clerk, we had another speaker.
Yes, Raymond Dennis.
Okay, go
him in.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Dennis, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you for allowing me to speak on this topic. I just wanted to go along with Council Member Tanaka's comments as it relates to the activities that could take place in an Airbnb. My particular concern is, 1, code enforcement. I think code enforcement will be a challenge. 2, the fact that if you don't move quickly now, you're going to have a lot of opportunities for other people to convert to Airbnbs. And then they're going to come after the city saying that the ordinance went in effect after they had been in business for X number of days or months or years. Personally, I would be a proponent to prohibit them, because I think the nature and the culture of our neighborhoods and the community of Gardena is more family oriented. It's more residential oriented. And if you live on a cul-de-sac, as I do, it could be problematic if you throw a rave party at the end of the cul-de-sac. I also think that with the proximity of SpaceX and the proximity of Tesla, that they have many short-term people that come into those organizations that, instead of using hotels, would be more inclined to bungle up in a Airbnb, and it could present problems there in terms of traffic, problems in terms of not knowing who your people are. You might as well eliminate the neighborhood watch, because you couldn't watch everyone. And so it would make more sense to me that the city get ahead of this thing and not drag its feet to wait and see, well, how this all plays out. And I understand if you can't do a moratorium right now, but you at least should investigate quickly, because the World Cup is coming. You have the Super Bowl, you have the BCS championship coming, you have the Final Four coming, and you have in 2026 the World Cup. All of that coming to SoFi, and people will be looking for places to stay. And I understand that people want to cash out and make as much money off their home as they can, but who's going to clean up the mess when those folks have rented their properties out for $30,000, $40,000 and left the city in rambles? Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Clerk, do we have anybody else?
No, we do not, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Any more questions or comments?
Madam Mayor, Mr. Dennis just brought up a comment that I think maybe the city manager could probably answer. So if this were allowed, even under certain restrictions, how much more in code enforcement would we have to hire, and how much more staff time would this cost?
I don't have a clear answer as far as how many more code enforcement officers we're going to need. I know we're going to need at least absolutely one. if not more. Code enforcement is really strapped already as it is, so we're doing. Greg can attest to that, and I think without knowing exactly the caseloads, we wouldn't be able to tell you if we need 2 or 3.
Okay, so would Chief Safel be able to say how much it would affect his department?
I mean, we can certainly ask him, but again, it's a matter of caseloads again.
Right, calls for service, those kind
Yeah.
This,
Something that we don't have, we just don't have any data on.
Okay, thank you.
Greg, I'm sorry, you were saying something?
I was going to say we'd also have to probably, with additional officers, also adjust schedules. A lot of this stuff happens in the evening hours,
Right.
early morning. So it would definitely be a challenge.
So also, Mr. Dennis said something, something else. He mentioned that if somebody already has an Airbnb and then we put this in place, do they get grandfathered in saying that they can have, so once we say this, no matter what they've had, it's just not allowed? Okay, good.
That's
That's correct, Madam Mayor. They would not get grandfathered in. I also want to mention, just for, so everyone's clear, with any type of moratorium, it does require a 4/5 vote. Not a simple majority is not sufficient to pass a moratorium. So I just want to make sure you guys are all clear and understanding of what's required for a moratorium.
Okay, got it. Go ahead.
Again, I hear everybody saying that they don't want it and they wouldn't support it, or they're kind of leaning that way. Isn't there ways that we can offset the cost for additional officers or additional code enforcement by determining the permitting fees and the licensing fees and, the taxes that we can probably get as TOT if possible? Because we often hear about the negative stories that always supersede the success stories. And I would really hate to cut out an opportunity for some of our responsible residents to be able to benefit from because of the no ordinance and the free for all that's going on right now. So, I mean, I understand that there are some that are out of control and they rent these spaces, but we can also hold the property owners responsible to a certain degree. We can also set the licensings and the permit fees and that type of stuff to offset the cost. So I really wish we take these things into consideration and not just blanket the whole city and consider the regulations.
Okay. Any more questions or comments? So my feelings on this here is, I live on a cul-de-sac street, and I think there's 13 houses on our street, and we have a house that from time to time they rent a I guess they have like an ADU or something like that, and they rent it out. And about every 3 months, there's different people there. There's 4 or 5 different cars on our street. We don't recognize the people, and that's one of the things that I love about our community is that we know our neighbors, we know who should be there and who shouldn't. And when you see people just sitting in their cars and then it takes a day or two to realize that, oh, they're attached to that house. I mean, it can be a little unsettling. And I don't think it's fair for a person to choose to rent out their house if they're renting out their backyard for a wedding or Airbnb, because now we're dealing with parking issues and we already have issues with parking as it stands now. I mean, as neighbors, we don't mind if our neighbor has a party every now and then, if the music's a little loud and they have their guests there. But when you have people who are renting out their backyards for different events, weddings or banquets, that's not fair to everybody. When you're renting out your house as an Airbnb and now, you don't know who's staying in there. You're dealing with loud music, things of that sort. If you want to operate a business, there's certain places it should be. I mean, when a person lives in a home or an apartment, I mean, unless they're living next to a business area, you shouldn't have to deal with that. I mean, people have quality of life issues. And, again, we're already dealing with the state requiring us to allow people to build, to build these ADUs. And I'm already concerned about how just the parking of that's going to affect us. And then to allow people to use their home now to operate as a business. I understand everybody needs money, but all money's not good money coming to our city like that. And I think for the purposes of people having a decent quality of life, I like to know when I go home that, I know all my neighbors, and even if somebody is renting in an area, they're usually renting for a longer period of time, long enough for me to get to know their name, who they are, recognize their card, et cetera. So I'm not in favor of this. That's my feeling on it. So Mayor Pro Tem, you're muted.
I guess I'm going to echo your sentiments, because I just want to say everything that makes money doesn't always make sense. And I'm concerned that by allowing a commercial use in a residential neighborhood will change the nature of our neighborhoods, our residents where we live. I'm also concerned, as Councilmember Tanaka mentioned, about the impact on services in terms of our police services, fire services, paramedics, and there will be problems. These wild stories we heard about, perhaps they may be an abnormality, but we also have to take all those kinds of things into consideration. What are the negatives as well as whatever positives they are? And sometimes, the cost doesn't always outweigh the benefit, or the benefit does not always outweigh the cost. So we have to be constant and do things that are going to keep our residents family oriented and safe. There's just too much going on in this world. Property owners are not going to be able to control who comes in or who comes out. They can say, well, I'm here to rent this for this particular reason, and there's all kinds of human trafficking, drugs, all kinds of stuff that's going on. And most, you say most property owners are responsible, but your responsibility, unless you're there controlling it, you have no clue who you just rent your house to, and you have no clue what they could come out to. So you'll hear my directive at the end, but anyway, thank you so much.
Okay, so to Greg, do you kind of have some inference as far as where we're going with this, or Carmen, do I need to be more exact as far as direction?
What I'm taking is that the direction is that you would like staff to draft an ordinance to prohibit it. That is the direction that we are interpreting from the majority of the council tonight. That will be prepared, taken to the planning commission, depending on the planning commission, what they do with it, and it would come back to council. That's separate and aside from any directives, if you guys choose to do that, a directive pertaining to the topic of moratoriums.
The next city council meeting, as I understand it, is not until September 13th. Mm-hmm. So the council could also consider putting back the 23rd meeting, or maybe having a special meeting on the 30th if there was a desire to move this up, because otherwise we're over a month away from the next meeting.
I'm sorry, you're speaking in terms of moratorium, or as far as this coming back?
Well, Lisa, hold on. We're not at the directive. I mean,
to consider when they get to
we're still not there yet.
We're not there. When we get to the directive, I'll bring up that subject of when you guys want to, if that's what you guys choose to go. But for now, for purposes of the ordinance that staff is being asked to draft to take back to the planning commission, the direction that we are hearing from staff, from the council, is to draft an ordinance to prohibit it.
Correct. Okay.
All right.
And there's no action. I mean, there's no vote.
There is not, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Okay. So next we're going to move on to item number 13A, which is the COVID-19 update. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, for our COVID-19 update. I believe you're seeing my screen. Total case count from the last time we updated you would be 19,344. That's an additional 952 since that time. Death count is what we had last time, which is 270 plus 2. So we've lost 2 of our residents over the past 2 weeks. As far as vaccination is concerned, children ages 5 to 11 is at 35.2%. Those above 12 is at 89.1%. 12 to 17 is at 82.1%, and our seniors 65 and above is over 95%. We continue to take testing from Raleigh Park, and as of August 9th, total residents tested is 7,292. there had been 280 tests since the last council meeting. Previously, I've gone over the trend line for LA County as far as hospitalizations since the last month or so. And as you saw, it was, trend line was going down, which is good news for us. Hopefully it continues to do so and it continues to decline. Madam Mayor, that ends my COVID-19 update.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or comments? No? Okay. I'm sorry, somebody?
I was going to just ask a question. What are we doing to, I know I asked a question and I got a big stack of rules about COVID, what we're doing to protect our staff. So how are we enforcing the guidelines to help protect our staff from getting COVID? Is there anything we can do to, strongly encourage or recommend that we follow the guidelines that we had in place? I'm just that, that 277 is, I don't want anybody in our city there, but particularly our staff, because we, our exposure is so high, recreation, police, all our officers. So is there anything else we can do to help?
Mayor Pro Tem, I mean, as far as, well, there is no indoor mask mandate, so we're not doing that. We keep reminding staff to the usual protocol since this whole thing started. Wash your hands over 2 minutes with warm water. Cover your mouth when you're sneezing, and then stay home if you're sick. Which, we've got, I believe it was 40 hours of extra COVID sick time, I believe. So that's utilized if you are COVID positive. Stay home so you don't infect anybody. And for the most part, our staff that do get, infected, they stay home until, the time comes that they can come back. They quarantine for X amount of days, and then, they test and, they're able to return back. But for our staff, I mean, we do the same thing that we've done, educate them, make sure they're aware. We haven't removed our signs. It's, the usual, wash your hands, cover your mouth, that kind of deal. Yeah, it's the same protocol that we've been telling them in the past.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because I just wanted to make sure, it's extensive and it's very involved in depth, because I read it. Took a while, but thank you so very much for that information, and I appreciate all that we're doing to help keep our staff safe and healthy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You.
Any more questions or comments? No? Okay, let's move on to item number 14A, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 14A is to execute a 5-year contract with Axon Enterprise Incorporated for the purchase of 90 electronic control devices, or ECDs, in an amount not to exceed $356,386.33. For over 20 years, the police department has utilized electronic control devices, or ECDs, by Axon, which have shown to be effective in preventing further violence without the use of deadly force. Our research has shown that 80% of other agencies who use Axon for their ECD devices choose the T7 model. With the T7 CERT program, Axon includes unlimited duty cartridges, a HALT, or HALT training suit for situational awareness, an instructor train-the-trainer program, and a new 5-year warranty with a limited liability insurance plan for the life of the contract. The T7 is the newest version of ECDs offered by Axon and has several new features that will make this ECD more effective than the current version. Staff obtained a quote via the National Purchasing Partners, or NPP cooperative. NPP serves public and nonprofit markets as cooperative purchasing organization, providing access to contracts created through an RFP process conducted by a lead public agency. The competitive solicitations offered through NPP meet or exceed local requirements, including the cities. This allows vendors an opportunity to compete with their lowest bids and enables municipalities to obtain the overall best price for their procurement. The cooperative purchasing agreement for this purchase is a master price agreement between League of Oregon Cities and Axon, who then extends its terms to other members of NPP. The NPP contract has also been used by other agencies such as Sacramento, Oceanside, La Mesa, and Santa Clara Police Departments, along with the San Diego County Sheriff's Department. The purchase of 90 ECDs will replace the current issued model of ECDs that are at their end of life due to age, wear, and outdated technologies. The ECDs that are being replaced will be disposed of at the discretion of the Chief of Police. This contract includes a one-time cost of $2,260 for a 2-day train-to-trainer instructor course and a 10.25% sales tax, which totals $30,137.40. The 5-year ECD program will have a total cost not to exceed $356,386.33. The purchase of this equipment will come from the COPS grant account. What is required is to authorize the purchase. I believe the chief's on, and we have a presentation by Lieutenant Brock. A very brief presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, thank you for considering our item this evening. As City Manager Osorio just said, that I have our Administrative Services Bureau Commander, Lieutenant Dave Brock, on the call. And I believe we might have our Axon representative as well at some point here. But Dave will give a quick overview of the upgraded technology, and then we'll entertain any questions that you might have.
Dave, you're muted still.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. We'll share my screen and show you a couple of, so I'm assuming that is up and running. Okay, so this is just the kind of the overview of the TASER 7. This is an upgraded version of the current ones that we have. Currently, what we're having and we've had for the past 5 years is the X26P, which is on the left here, and then on the right, the TASER 7 is the new upgraded version. And so a couple of things that it does that's really beneficial for our officers is the first thing is that it's a multi-shot weapon, so you do not have to reload after just one shot like the previous version. There are 4 chances of a probe connection versus just a 1 chance before. And then the next one is the old model, we had to have at least 7+ feet to obtain a 12-inch spread. And the 12-inch spread is what's needed for the device to work properly. Well, with the new advancements, we can now shrink that to 3.9 feet, and that gives you a lot better accuracy because we're closer. TASER has added a de-escalation button. So instead of just activating the TASER and deploying the probes, the officers will be able to hit a switch, which will arc the weapon and show the sparks and make a really loud electrical sound, and with the hopes of de-escalating the scenario that if this is getting serious. They've improved the probes to where we have, especially in the wintertime, we have issues with the probes not penetrating thick clothing. They've redesigned some of these probes to now make that more effective. And then lastly, for firmware upgrades, again, deployment uses, all the times, they've now created a battery which will actually update the firmware, track the usage, when that will be downloaded into our already system of our body-worn cameras and our fleet dash camera called evidence.com. And so that will all be one universal system. And that's pretty much it. And of course, we would entertain any questions.
Okay. Does any member of the council have any questions at this time? Councilman Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Lieutenant Brock and Chief Safel for the presentation. My question is in regards to the potential liability of the train-the-trainer process. Is Axon going to train our staff, and then our staff will be the train-the-trainer? And the reason why I'm asking this question because train-the-trainer becomes a other duty as assigned. So you want to kind of get through that training real quick. And sometimes some nuance may be missed or lost. So can you kind of give me a little bit more detail on that?
Sure, Dave, you'd like to talk about the ongoing training and the different phases that they'll have year after year.
Right. So the train the trainer program that Axon offers is we will send two officers, which already are use of force instructors, to their intensive camp. And what they do is they go through everything on the tasers. That certification is good for 2 years. And so what we'll do is we'll send one, they'll get the certification. Then the next year we'll send a different one, another instructor. And then of course we'll leapfrog back and forth over the course of the 5 years. And that way everybody stays current. And with the train the trainer, when they come back, they can train other officers in our department for interdepartmental training, because we'll still get new recruits. We'll still get, there might be remediation type of training. And so all that will be taken care of.
And how long should somebody be sitting through training on the TASER 7 with the trainer? Is it a minimum amount of hours of, let's say, 4 hours to make sure they clearly understand that?
Are you talking about like say we have someone graduate the academy?
Right.
Yeah, so it's an 8-hour block currently, and that goes from just the nomenclature, how it works, why it works, to all the safety stuff, and then in the end, of course, we're deploying it. They're practicing it on targets, and and then they have to show proficiency throughout the whole thing.
Okay, so it is 8 hours mandatory.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well, and that's minimum. If they need more, then of course we give more. It's all taken care of during our orientation phase, which is 3 weeks long, and that's a day.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I just have a question, Madam Mayor.
Go ahead.
I like the idea of the automated firmware update data downloads due to new docking technology. Now, is this a daily? Does it need to be charged daily, or is it are the updates daily or weekly, or how often?
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem, yeah, it depends on the usage, and generally it will go several weeks without needing a charge. But if it's used, then it'll automatically be. You have to get a new battery to download it. So that's how you're documenting it in the use of force report. Because when you deploy a taser, it's automatically a use of force report.
Oh, I see.
So we'll take that out, download it right away. That'll download all the data. It actually clears out the battery, and then when the next officer comes in, obviously the green light's showing that's fully charged. They will take that clear battery, plug it into their taser, and then it reprograms that battery for that officer.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yes, thank you so much. There's one more question. I recalled a few months ago when we were approving new equipment, and one of the things that was about the new equipment, it will get listed on the Guardian PD website. Does this get listed on the website too, like the other equipment?
That's a fantastic question, Mayor Pro Tem. So military equipment, this piece of technology, this piece of equipment is not required to be listed in the military equipment policy. There is one item that is in the military equipment policy that's called a taser shockware, but that's not what this is. A taser shockware is a strip of cartridges that are fired simultaneously. We don't have that, so therefore it does not fall within the military equipment policy.
All right, thank you so much, appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments?
I just have a question. Chief Fiscal, what happens to the devices that you guys getting rid of? Do you guys destroy them, donate them? What happens to those devices?
That is an excellent question. Dave?
So that'll be up to the discretion of the chief, and there's a lot of different options. Whether we could sell them, It is the property of the city of Gardena, so that will be up to Chief Mike Stafel.
We always try to get value for our equipment, so we always first try to trade that equipment in. And if it doesn't go back to the manufacturer, then we look for other ways, perhaps other departments that may be using that older technology that need the replacement parts. But my staff knows that we're constantly trying to stretch the dollar, and we are constantly trying to find ways to get the value even on old equipment.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Deputy Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak on this item?
No, Madam Mayor, it looks like we do not.
Okay. If there are no, excuse me, if there are no more questions on this item here, can I get a motion to authorize the police department to purchase 90 new and unused T7 ECD and execute the 5-year agreement with Axion Enterprise Incorporated for a total cost not to exceed $356,386.33. I'm sorry, that came everywhere. Raise your hand or something.
Never mind, go ahead.
Tanaka made the motion, I'll second.
Okay. Madam Deputy Clerk, a motion was made by Councilmember Tanaka and a second by Love.
Councilmember Tanaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Love?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis?
Yes.
And Mayor Serta?
Yes. Okay, thank you guys. All right. Okay, next up is item number 17B. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council. Agenda item 17B is to approve agreement with MOVE, spelled as MOEV, under the California Energy Commission Grant Program. In 2021, G-Trans partnered with MOVE, a local firm that has developed artificial intelligence, or AI, for smart charging electric fleets, in a project that was awarded funding from the California Energy Commission, or CEC. The grant, evaluating bi-directional energy transfers and distributed energy resource integration for medium and heavy-duty fleet electrification, provides funds to test this technology at G-Trans's facility and for its current and future fleet of battery electric buses. In addition to the development and testing of this crucial software with MOVE, the grant includes funding specifically for G-Trans to help purchase and install electric chargers for its new electric bus fleet arriving next year. MOVE is deploying a system that automatically manages the recharging of battery electric buses at the G-Trans facility to minimize the electric bill, improve operational efficiency, reduce operator and driver stress, and extend the bus's battery life. The technology is continuously using vehicle conditions, weather, traffic, and route considerations on how and predicting when each vehicle will need to be recharged and by how much. MOVE has engaged partnerships with firms such as the Lawrence Berkeley National Labs, which is a U.S. Department of Energy lab, and ETAP, a Schneider Electric company, specifically for work on this project, and as part of the CEC grant, G-Trans is required to enter into subcontracting agreement with MOVE that outlines the scope of work and requirements of the grant. The project duration is from June 2021 through November 2024, during which time MOVE will deploy and report to the CEC about the software, G-Trans buses, and charging efforts as part of the project. MOVE will also provide G-Trans maintenance team with access to the software to monitor the performance of the buses. Per the terms of the grant, G-Trans is eligible to receive up to $350,000 to offset some of the cost of the purchase and installation of up to 7 electric bus chargers. Council approved the purchase of 7 zero-emission battery electric buses from Gillig in March of 2022, a portion of which will be used as in-kind match for the CEC grant program with MOVE. G-Trans will come before Council at the future date for approval to purchase these chargers. Upon receipt of the equipment, G-Trans will be able to request these funds through MOVE on a reimbursement basis. G-Trans is eligible to receive up to $350,000 in funding through its grant program on a reimbursement basis, and G-Trans has federal, state, and local funds and existing grants to support the purchase of these chargers, which will come before council for consideration at a later date. Funds for the buses and the chargers are included in the fiscal year 23 budget previously approved by the city council. And what's required tonight is to approve the agreement.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments on this? Let's start with Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for that report, Mr. City Manager. I'm not sure if Director Crespo is on, but it's more or less a comment. Because we're testing this out with Lawrence Labs and everything, is it possible that we get a white paper written up on this as far as our participation in testing this new technology? So Gardena gets his props as being forward thinking and all these things in transportation, because this is a big deal, testing something new in our community, in our city. So I just want to make sure that somewhere in the grant, we make sure that the grantor knows that's a requirement, not a requirement, but a request of ours, and make sure we get the proper press in this.
I'm sure, I mean, we can ask Director Crespo to chime in, but I'm sure with the gravity of the project is so huge and so large, and it encompasses existing and future technology in the area of electrification and batteries. I'm sure we'll be doing some kind of reporting on this, and if we can segue that to a white paper, I think that would be useful. But we can certainly ask Director Crespo if that is something that they are already working.
Yeah, okay.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and council members. Yes, Mr. Councilman Henderson, that's a great point. I think an executive summary, an executive report, like City Manager Osorio mentioned, is a requirement of their grant to the CEC. I'm not sure if it's necessarily a white paper, but it's definitely a final report that has to be done to see if their software is worth deploying in large scale. So that's really what this whole thing is all about.
Okay, I just want to make sure at the next transportation conference and everything, we're doing a presentation and hosting the panel on this, on what Gardena is doing to set the transportation industry ablaze. So I just want to make sure we get our proper recognition.
Yeah. I think there was something mentioned about intellectual property, and that now I thought we had claims for intellectual property, because this is something that's really big, because we all know about how batteries work for cars, but when you're talking about making a battery work for a bus and charging all that system, that's a whole nother ball of wax. But I think I did read something about intellectual property and that we had control over that, because I think there will be some interesting findings as a result of this project. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but I'll go back and read it again. But I do remember seeing intellectual property.
I do think it's, I mean, their AI, their artificial intelligence is built into their algorithms. That is their intellectual property, because that's what separates their technology from anyone else's. But it is going to be something it's a really cool software. I mean, it's going to be able to tie our batteries, our facilities, our batteries, solar panels, buses, all onto one platform, so that we use it we charge at the cheapest time to save money, or we're running off of batteries instead of running our CNG compressors. So it's definitely something to be looked at and see, hopefully we get positive results.
No, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Deputy Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak on this item?
No, we do not, Madam Mayor.
Okay. That being said, can I get a motion to approve the agreement?
So moved.
Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Francis and a second by Councilmember Henderson. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Francis?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Love?
Yes.
And Mayor Serta?
Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, next up is item number 18A. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 18A is resolution number 6598, designated certain members of the Gardena City Council to serve as representatives and the South Bay Council of Governments Governing Board. The bylaws of the South Bay Council of Governments, or SBC-COG, requires that cities designate their delegate and alternate to the SBC-COG by way of resolution from each member city. Councils consider the regular annual assignments of Gardeena's council delegates and alternates to all outside committees at their July 26, 2022 council meeting. At that time, Councilmember Rodney Tanaka was approved to serve as a delegate, and Councilmember Wanda Love was approved as the alternate to the governing board of the South Bay Cities Council of Governments. Therefore, this resolution is prepared pursuant to the SBC-COG's requirements and includes the names of those approved at the July 26, 2022 council meeting. What's required is to adopt resolution number 6598.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Madam City Clerk, does anybody from the public wishing to speak on this item?
No, we do not have anyone, Madam Mayor.
Okay, that being said, can I get a motion to adopt resolution number 6598?
I'll move it.
Is there a second?
Second it.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion by Councilmember Henderson and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Francis. Will you call the roll?
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis?
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Love?
Yes.
And Mayor Serta?
Yes. Okay, next up is item number 18B. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 18B is the designation of voting delegate or representative for the League of California Cities Annual Conference and Expo, which is in September 7th through 9, 2022. Consistent with league bylaws, the city's voting delegate must be designated by the City Council. As Gardeena's delegate to the Los Angeles County League of California Cities, Councilmember Rodney Tanaka is available to attend and represent the City of Gardena at the annual conference and expo, and will be available to serve in this capacity. In the event that Councilmember Tanaka cannot attend, Councilmember Wanda Love, the alternate to the LA County League of California Cities, can attend and represent the City of Gardena. Therefore, staff recommends the City Council designate Councilmember Rodney Tanaka to represent the City of Gardena as its official voting delegate, and Councilmember Love as the official voting alternate during the league's annual conference and expo in September. Council action regarding selection of voting delegate is advised by August 31st, 2022. The selection information attested by the City Clerk will be submitted to the League of California Cities office by the required 2022 deadline. What's required tonight is to designate a voting delegate.
Okay. So before I open it up for the questions here, so Councilmember Tanaka, you are available September 7th through 9th.
Yes, ma'am. It's on my calendar.
Okay. And Councilmember Love, you are available as an alternate as well on those dates?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments at this time? No?
I have one question, Madam Mayor.
Okay, go ahead.
Although we're not voting members, the rest of the council are open to participate and attend the conference, correct? Right.
That's correct. Deputy City Clerk, are there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this item?
No, we do not have anyone, Madam Mayor.
Okay. All right. So that being said, can I get a motion to designate the voting delegates?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay. Okay. Deputy Clerk, there's a motion made by Councilmember Henderson and a second by Councilmember Francis. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Love.
Yes.
And Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next up are council directives. Does any member of the council at this time have any directives? Let's start with Mayor Pro Tem.
I do. Stemming from our discussion on the short-term rental and the directions to staff, I was wondering if we could declare a moratorium until such time we get everything in place. I guess maybe it has to come up on the next council meeting, and then there's 45 days, something goes on after that. I'm not quite sure what Attorney Kranz said, but can we get that on the agenda for next meeting? Just a moratorium on short-term rentals until we can get something in place. As I understand too, we have something in place or moratorium, this activity can't continue.
So it's a direct, is there a, let me make sure I understand.
I'll second Henderson.
The one thing I want to make sure I understand, do you guys want to wait until the 13th of September, or do you want us to schedule a special meeting prior to that to conduct the meeting for the moratorium?
The sooner the better. What will be the sooner?
Well, only because there is 5 Tuesdays in August, so we thought maybe if you guys want, we were thinking of potentially doing a special study session on another project. So we could do both things, the special study session on another project and the moratorium on August the 30th. Would that be okay with the council?
Isn't that after the next council meeting?
August the 30th.
We will council meeting.
We're dark second meeting in August.
Okay, we're dark. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, 30 works for me.
Yeah. That's as soon as we can do it. Let's do it on the 30th then.
Okay. Can I just make sure I'll need a quorum? So can one more of you guys let me know that you are available? I don't want to know how you're going to vote. I don't want you to say how you're going to vote. I just need to know that you are available to, and you would attend the meeting if we were to conduct it on the 30th.
So wait a minute. Hold on. Let me understand this. So we have a study session and then we're having a special meeting on the 30th in lieu of the 23rd?
Correct. In lieu of the 23rd, we would have a meeting on the 30th. And that meeting on the 30th would be for a special study session on a project that wants, just like we did today at 6 o'clock for a different location. Mm-hmm. And in addition, we would put on that agenda the moratorium for you guys to discuss and vote on that evening.
We couldn't do it on the 23rd though.
It's up to the council if you guys want to prefer to do it on the 23rd.
Yeah, I would think the sooner the better, because I don't know how you guys
yeah, I mean the 23rd we would normally meet anyway. So,
Mr. City Manager, do you have any issues? Because I know we had been planning on going dark on the 23rd. Would you prefer
going dark on the 23rd as opposed to the 30th?
I know past practice of the city had been to go dark the second meeting of August, but we do have these items, and so it's up to the council. And if you guys want to do it on the 23rd,
I'm out of town on the 23rd.
Can I interrupt? It looks like we have Senior Planner Amanda Cunha that has her hand up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's actually me, Lisa. I just want to say, Carmen, you said 3, but if we're going to take a moratorium, we should make sure there's going to be at least 4 there, so there's the ability to pass.
Oh, I forgot. Yes, you're right. I apologize. You need at least 4 members to vote in favor of it. So if we don't even have 4, then we can't even have the moratorium considered.
Here's a quick question I have here, and this is just so that we're being very transparent, because we're having this on a different day than when our normal meeting is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it almost, if a person just looking at this from the outside goes, wait a minute, that's not even a normal day you guys have a meeting on. You're having this meeting on the 30th. Now you're trying to pass a moratorium here. It kind of sounds a little weird. I mean, weird, without me saying which one I'm supporting this or whatever. I'm just looking at this from both sides here. Here's my question is, if we leave it to when we have our normal meeting, I understand the urgency behind this, but if we were already planning on being dark in August, I mean, does it hurt pushing it to September? I mean, I understand the urgency of this, but you're talking about from the 30th to September 9th. Is that our next meeting?
September 13th.
2 more weeks. I mean, because you know, I understand what the purpose of what the moratorium is doing. And this item will be coming before us by the time it goes to Planning Commission and so on. I mean, I'm just wondering just those couple of weeks. I mean, because
I'm fine with moving it.
Yeah. September, are you okay with amending your directive?
Yeah, okay. Sure. I just want to make sure we get it done.
Okay. So the directive is for us we'll bring a moratorium ordinance on the September 13th meeting.
Okay.
Now seconded by Councilmember Henderson, correct?
Yes, correct.
Mayor and council, I do want to say we will be polling you for still the special study session for potential development that we do need to bring to you before the end of the month.
That's for the 30th, correct?
We can do that on the 30th.
Okay. That was what I'm saying. That's still August the 30th. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
The moratorium is on September 13th. Will be on the agenda for September.
On the agenda for September 13th. Okay.
Look, Carmen, I have a question just for clarification. Sure. The original agenda item, when the staff did the presentation, what were the three options for us? And were we making a decision on those three options tonight, or that was just put out there and then?
There was no specific option. It was for you guys to give us feedback, and the feedback that we heard from the council that tonight was that you guys wanted us to draft an ordinance to prohibit the short-term rentals.
Okay.
So that makes sense. Again, remember, you didn't take any action tonight. It still has to go to Planning Commission, and then it comes back to the council after that. So there will be plenty of public comment. That is for up to something more permanent. Again, the moratorium is a temporary.
Right.
May I ask a question? Why does it need to go to planning? Why does this moratorium need to go to planning?
Not the moratorium. The moratorium does not.
Okay, the moratorium does not need to go to planning. Okay, good. All right. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other directives?
I
go ahead.
Have one, actually two. For the city manager to check into the cost of upgrading our system to go hybrid. If we can just get an idea of the cost and what it would take to make that happen. Whether we do it or not, I would like to know.
A second.
Take.
You got a second.
Okay. The next directive.
Also, if we can check into what it would take to do local donations for some of the buses. I'm not trying to take away from Mexico, but I would like to see us take care of some of the nonprofits local. And my last directive is if we can do something.
Was there a second on the bus one? You had a directive for to look into local donations for the buses. Was there a second? Was there a second on that directive?
So is this, I'm not quite sure I understand.
Her directive is for us to look at the option of donating like our buses to some other local nonprofits. And so is there a second on that item?
So if we look into it, do we not give it to our sister city anymore? Or?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to take away from Mexico. I'm not trying to take away from our sister city. I'm just saying that when there are other options, if we can look into donating local versus international. I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody that's already receiving from us.
Well, that is taken away, but we can discuss it if a person has a second on here. So if there's a second, then it'll come up as an agenda item and we'll discuss it. But if there's not a second, then it drops here.
Okay.
So is there a second at this time?
So it'll come up as agenda item, then we discuss it and then
correct
way.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm sorry, you'll second it? Okay, so the item's been second. Okay, are there any other directives?
The last one is if we can, I don't know what we can do, but can we do something about the dog owners that's not curbing their dogs? I don't know if that's a code enforcement issue or how we can do it, but that's becoming a real issue. I walk dogs and it's the inconsideration of dog owners. I don't know if what we can do about it, but something needs to be done.
You need a second for that one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, second, yeah. Just make sure we post signs or something.
Thank you, Mark.
Can I please, I'd like to go over the directives if I may.
Give me 1 second.
So we get clarification.
Let me just see if there are any more directives out there. Okay, I just have one, this is for the city manager. I'd like to know if now, along with the COVID report, if you can now add monkeypox because those numbers are starting to go up. And I'm a little concerned as far as how it could be affecting Gardena. Maybe it's not significantly affecting us, but at least we kind of have an idea if that could be added to the COVID COVID-19 update?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any more directors? Okay, Deputy Clerk, did you want to go over the?
Yes, if I could just do a recap on the directives, please. So the first directive was from Mayor Pro Tem Francis regarding short-term rentals. And she asked if we can bring an ordinance to establish a moratorium at our September 13th council meeting with a study session on August 30th. On the same subject, or is there an additional subject?
The study session's on a separate subject. We were just polling the council, and that's not part of the directive, but the August 30th is just polling the council with regards to whether you guys were available for a study session.
Okay, and then we have Councilmember Love's directives. The first one being, she's asked our city manager to check the cost of our system to go hybrid, and that meaning our council chambers audio system. And Mayor, Councilmember Henderson seconded that. Her second directive was to check into local donations of our buses to our nonprofits. And Mayor Pro Tem Francis seconded that. Councilmember Love's third directive was if we could, I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Councilmember Love? If we could, something about the dog owners, what was?
Yeah, if we can check, if we can see what can be done about the amount of dog poop that's being left on the ground, since it, you know, it's a law that they curb their dogs and walk them on leashes. And I'm embarrassed when people come to my chamber office at the amount of poop that they have to step over or going to Giuliano's or anywhere. That strip of grass in front of my office is ridiculous. And I mean, I could send the code enforcement videos of who's doing it, but you know, it's not just there. I see it everywhere I walk my dogs.
Okay, and then Councilmember Henderson seconded that one. And then Mayor Serta's one directive was if we could add monkeypox to our update, COVID update.
That's correct.
And Mayor Pro Tem Francis seconded that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next up is our city manager remarks regarding our previous directives.
Hey, Mayor Serta, members of the City Council. I have 3 memos that I've sent you. The first one is the CDD monthly report for July 2022. Second one is regarding directive on cable television access. And the third is this conditional use permit issued to serve alcohol. We do have 2 videos. The first one is regarding our homeless survey video. We just want to do like a public address here that the Recreation and Human Services would like to encourage all our residents to complete the homeless plan survey that is currently online. We also want to encourage you to join us on September 7th for an in-person meeting to discuss the homeless plan. And with that, I think we can view the video. Okay, thank you very much. For our second video, this is regarding our National Night Out, also known as our block party.
Well, good evening, Gardena. Are you guys having a good time so far?
We just all want to say thank you to our community for a great year. We love the enthusiasm. We love the input. There's nothing better than being part of this city. It's unique, it's different, and that's what makes all the difference. So today it's just a quick block party to say thank you and to celebrate each other. So glad everybody's out here today. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you to our council for putting this all together and giving us the resources to put this on. We're going to definitely see you next year. Go Gardena and have a great night.
All right, thank you very much. Madam Mayor, that ends my report.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to begin tonight with council remarks. And so I didn't forget, we do have that one person who wanted to speak during oral communications. We'll bring that part up right after our council remarks end. So we're going to begin tonight with Councilmember Law.
Good evening. I just want to talk about the amazing time my board members and I had at National Night Out serving nachos to the community. I attended the grand opening of the Cocoon, and I also attended the U-Haul open house, which I hope more people get involved in. And that ends my report.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our last gathering, I did want to remind everybody that coyotes are still a problem in our community, to make sure you don't leave any food out, any of your pet food out, or keep your small dogs and cats indoors if you can. We still have coyotes in our community, so just want to put that reminder out there. I had some community discussions with various folks in the community. participated in the U-Haul open house as well as the Cocoon opening. And I was also at the Gardena block party. And I want to say I really love talking to our employees. They take their job so serious. And I think that's why we get the great quality of work we get in our community that helps us kind of work together on the quality of life. I want to thank Director Rigg for giving me the access to his staff. That night at the block party, City of Gardena, we bought a new sewer cleaning truck. And I met two fabulous employees, Public Works, Rob and JJ. And they explained so much about that truck and everything. And it was just so impressive listening to them describing how much care they take in the old truck as well as the new truck and everything. So I wanted to, I try to shout everybody out by name, but I was really impressed with Rob and JJ. They're very personable. They got the soft skills, the technical skills, the hard skills and everything. So we have a lot of assets in our community as employees. So I just want to make sure that the employees get the recognition and everything. We all don't do everything right, but for the most part, I would say we hit the mark greater than 90% of the time. So I just want to thank the employees for their efforts and everything. So let's just keep up the good work. Madam Mayor, so ends my report.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Mayor Pro Tem Francis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our last meeting, I attended the Night Out Block Party, and it was a wonderful event. It was so nice to see all the kids so happy and with their backpacks and all the snacks and treats. And I would say there were probably a good 300 or 400 people there at least that attended. We also got to sing happy birthday to Madam Mayor, which was really nice and special. And I can't wait till next year's event. It was a lot of fun. And also the City of Gardena and the Gardena Beautification Commission is having our 22nd annual Keep Gardena Beautiful Day on September 17th. And you can sign up on our city website, or you can contact the Public Works Department to sign up. And you'll get 3 things. You get the satisfaction that you've made giving back to our city and help keep our city beautiful. And you'll also get a free t-shirt and lunch, but you must sign up by September 1st in order to do that. And in closing, I just want to encourage everyone to keep doing what you're doing to keep your family safe and healthy. I also remind you that our children are going back to school next week, and by the 22nd, they'll all be back in school. So watch out for our children and our parents, and also those of you that live near elementary schools. Please be mindful of the neighbors in terms of your parking and picking your children up. It'll help. Just a little thoughtfulness will go a long way. And again, do what you can to keep your family safe and healthy. And I just want to remind you that better days are coming. We're going to beat this thing. Thank you so much. That concludes my remarks.
Okay, thank you. And for myself, since the last council meeting, I attended just a couple of events. The retirement party for one of our residents, Miss Carolyn Kahn. She retired from the post office and 33 years of service, and had a fabulous event at her house where she invited family, friends, and neighbors, and was very happy I was able not only to attend, but to present a certificate from the City of Gardena recognizing her accomplishments with the post office and her 33 years of service. I also attended the summer block party, another fabulous event that was put on by not only the PD, but all the different departments that helped out with it. I mean, Public Works is out there, G-Trans, CDD. I mean, I saw all of our directors, Stephanie, Human Resource, everybody was there. I love events like this where it's not just one department, but it's everybody collaborating, and it makes it really nice. The community appreciates it. I appreciate it. And at the end of the day, people just walk away going, wow, that was awesome. I'm looking forward to next year. And, oftentimes I have people come from other cities and they go, we don't do this in our city. So just kudos to everybody involved. Even if I didn't mention your department, thank you guys again for what you did, because it was fabulous. And also thank you guys for the birthday wishes. That was really nice. And my special cake too. So again, a fun event for me, especially on my birthday. Since the last council meeting, I attended the grand opening of Cocoon 63, and it was really fun, to be able to do a walkthrough and see the place now that it's staged and see all the different amenities that are there. In fact, for those of you who follow me on social media, I did a full video of the entire development. So if you missed it, you can go and see it the way I saw it and just see every inch of that property. I took pictures and videotaped it. So hopefully you'll get a chance to see it if that's something you're interested in, or if maybe you know somebody who's interested in that. And that's one of the first type of SRO project that we've approved and has been completed now. So I'm looking forward to see where this project here goes. And then the last thing I'd just like to mention before, I'm just going to piggyback a little bit off of Councilmember Henderson's comment about the coyotes, is let's not forget we still have the coyote manuals that the city of Gardena put together, because I think a few years ago there was a big uptick in coyote sightings. I know they're still out there, but it gives a lot of, I know you can't really see my screen, but information here, and we have it in English, Spanish, and I believe Korean as well. And so just so residents kind of know what to do or what not to do when you see a coyote, because again, they're out there. So with that, that ends my report. And next up is Councilmember Tanaka.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And don't forget to go to Gardena Direct because they do come out.
Yeah.
So since our last one, I did my COG, South Bay COG's board meeting, pretty eventful night. Attended the summer block party, and Madam Mayor, everybody talked about our great city and our employees and everybody, but that night goes to show you that we are a city of family, and we are just in this together, and we all work great together. We have fun together. But that was an evening where all city departments, including, because it was National Night Out, but all city departments, the city attorneys were there, but it was fun. There was food, there was people, and it was just an entertaining night. And then it was topped off by the mayor's birthday, so it was a good night. I attended the League of California Cities. I'm a part of the LA division. Attended the meeting in Diamond Bar. It was a meeting plus the installation of our new league president. He's the Mayor Pro Tem from Diamond Bar, and it's Andrew Chow. Congratulations to him on a year that's going to be filled with a lot of things that he needs to do. And we gave a commendation proclamation to the outgoing president. That was James Bazagian. And we gave him a certificate of appreciation for all the work that he did. Attended the open house at the Cocoon, and I'm going to tell you, I was very impressed that, you talk about a 300 square foot room, but when you see it with furniture in it, it looks way bigger, and it looks really, really nice. So if you have a chance and you haven't gone by there, take a look at their model, and you'll be quite impressed with what's there. And then the rooftop's great. It's got a great view. And a lot of people were worried about the Japanese style parking structure that is an elevator. Honestly, we were standing next to it talking, and they actually moved a car that we never heard they moved.
Right.
So it's a great project. If you're kind of looking for just a place to lay your head and make it your own, stop by and take a look. Also, let's see, I attended, yesterday, I was lucky enough to attend Gardena Valley Baptist Church Seminary fundraising to help fund 6 students that are going to seminary school. And it's not cheap, so I was really happy that a few of us got to attend that and help them out. And with that, Madam Mayor, that would end my report.
Okay. I want to, add this also to my report here. Tonight, I'd like to just add the name of the adjournment. of an officer who was killed in, he was actually an officer from Monterey Park, but he was killed in Downey on last week. And his name was Guardiel Solorio, and he was only 26 years old. So I'll be adding his name to the adjournment tonight. We have a couple of announcements here. So looks like on this coming Thursday, August 11th, we're going to have the City of Gardena will be hosting the summer UCLA blood drive from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Rush Gym. I believe you need to, I think you can show up or you can go online and register ahead of time. But if you have any questions, feel free to call us here at the City of Gardena and we can give you more information. So that's blood drive this Thursday, August 11th from 9 to 2 at Rush Gym. We also want to remind everybody that City of Gardena still has our adult co-ed softball, which are Friday nights at Mosfew Kai Park and Raleigh Park. The season begins Friday, August 19th. And there's fees for new teams, returning teams, umpire fees, etc. That too, if you have any questions, you can call at City Hall at 310-217-9537. And let's see, also LA County Animal Care and Control and NBC4 and Telemundo 52 have cleared the shelters, which is from August 1st through the 31st, where adoption fees are fully waived for cats and reduced to $20 for dogs. So this is to encourage everybody to adopt a dog or cat. And this will also include in the adoption, microchipping and spay and neuter and vaccination. So just a quick note that there are some other fees that may apply, but again, this is to encourage everyone to adopt a dog or cat. And then also we have our Gardena Police Department will be having their Coffee with a Cop, which will be on August 18th at Chick-fil-A, and this will be in the morning from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And for those of you who don't know where Chick-fil-A is, it's right off near the corner on Redondo Beach Boulevard and Crenshaw. And then the other last announcement I have here is for our Food, Wine, and Brew event that will be coming up. This is our 12th annual year we're having this. It'll be Saturday, September the 24th from 12 to 7 p.m. And it will be here at the Gardena City Hall complex. And the tickets go on sale, or they've already begun. The sale started on August 1st. You can go online to get information. The general admission is $25. Reserved tables are $85. So once again, if you have any questions, feel free to call City Hall at 310-217-9537. And this will be publicized on all of our social media outlets as well. So with that, move on to adjournments. As I mentioned, we're going to adjourn tonight in memory of Officer Guardiel Solorio, who was 26 years of age. He was killed in Downey, and he was an officer from the city of Monterey Park. So at this time, the Gardena City Council will adjourn to the closed session portion of the City Council meeting at 7 p.m., followed by the regular City Council meeting at 7:30 p.m. It's stating on Tuesday, August 23rd, but we will be dark for the second meeting in August. So we will be returning on September 13th for our next regularly scheduled City Council meeting. So at this time, we are adjourned. So thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Night, Joe.
you.